Welcome everybody to the NLC Full Open. My name is Scoundrel, joined by Gulborg and Jamada on the desk. Got to say thank you to our sponsors, MasterCard, El Giganten, and Corsair. And of course, if you want to get involved in the Fantasy League, we are running a Fantasy League for the NLC Full Open, nlc.esports1.com. You can go and check that out. And also, you can vote for a play of the day. So we are doing a play of the day every day of the broadcast this week on the NLC Full Open. You can go to our socials and check out the plays that will be posted and make sure your vote is heard so you can get involved and potentially win some awesome rewards. So, guys, we are about halfway through our first week of the NLC Full Open, and today we are going to our elimination matches. Now, before we get there, let's take a look at the standings and the groups so we can see who has qualified and what we've got left to come throughout the next few days. Starting at Group A, Envision are the team that qualifies. Now, Gulborg, was this an expected result for you?
Not at all. I think this is the opposite of Group A coming in here. I think most people initially thought that ENCE was going to be taking that spot when they saw how the group was panned out, but Envision really coming in here clutch and surprising everyone, me included. They even took a jab at me on Twitter. So I had to stand my ground here. I actually am very impressed with what they came out with.
Yeah, absolutely. Jamada, also someone that probably knows the Envision roster. Was this something that you were expecting?
Absolutely not. I mean, Envision obviously domestically recently had a whole bunch of success, but you look at the group and like Gulborg rightly says, everyone looks at ENCE, everyone probably looks at Riddle to be the two teams that go through. But I mean, Envision really and rightfully so like shocked us.
It shocked me as well. Honestly, I was not expecting this. And Envision, you can take all the jabs you want at us on Twitter because we deserve it. You've done really well to get out of the group. Of course, we are going to be having the XY versus ENCE matchup today. We'll be keeping you up to date with how that goes. It will not be on this stream. It'll be over on the second stream, the UKEL. Let's go and have a look at Group B then. And you'll be able to see that it is Unique that made it out of Group B. If you ask Gulborg, I'm sure he'll say he absolutely expected this. But I do think this is one of the closer groups that we had all round. And you can see, especially with that Viking Unique matchup where it did kind of go all the way to the wire. However, we will be seeing Kova versus PK today for the elimination match. That will be the first series that we end up covering on stream. Gulborg, quite clearly you're favoring PK here, right?
Of course. I mean, everyone should be favoring PK. If there's anything we learned is that you take a look at Barrage, the tournament favorites. Why are Barrage tournament favorites? They got 5 Danish players. Let's take a look at PK. How many Danish players do they have? 5. I think the math checks out.
Well, there you go. The Danish math checks out. Let's have a look at Group C, and we can see how that. This is the kind of the group that we started with, Jamada. Barrage qualifying, no real surprise though, right?
No surprise at all. I think everyone kind of just knows at this point. We've more than drilled it home, I feel like. Barrage really are the tournament favorites for this one. Going into the winners match versus SNG, they absolutely smashed them to pieces. I guess they were just angry to drop a game versus Eminem, and they had to make a statement with that one. So yeah, I'm happy to see Barrage go through naturally, I think.
Yeah, this is going to be the second series that we're covering as well today, that elimination match between Eminem and Absolved. I do think this will be a really close one as well. Both teams are very good. So we'll have to see how that pans out later on in the night. That's our second series. Having a look over at Group D then, our final group, we can kind of check what happened over there. And it is indeed Dusty making it out. Now, actually, having seen a lot of these games, I'm not massively surprised that Dusty were the team to make it out here. I initially was not expecting that, but after seeing some of their play, I think they definitely look like one of the strongest groups. But I think Gulborg, one of the biggest surprises is that Tricked is in the elimination match.
Completely agree. I mean, me and Jamana were just the superior analysts with the Dusty call, rooting for them from the beginning.
That's right.
But the one with Tricked was definitely surprising. If you take a look back at the series, they look to be in the driver's seat throughout all of their games until they're just not. It seems like something is crumpling in their late game, and they need to fix that.
I just need to correct. I realized we actually changed what we were covering on the stream today. So we're actually covering Tricked versus Nordavind and not the Eminem matchup. Sorry, my apologies there. I actually knew that had happened, but completely forgot. So if you want to check out the Eminem matchup, that will be on the UKEL stream later on tonight. We will be covering the Tricked versus Nordavind Black series on this stream. But of course, we are starting off with that PK match today. So let's have a look talk about what happened yesterday now, because obviously we saw some of those qualification matches. There was some relatively big upsets. We talked about some of the surprises. The Envision win, that was a pretty big deal, I think, in that group as well, guys. We didn't get to see everything that happened, but actually when you take a look at Dusty looked good though, right, Gulborg?
I mean, completely. I think they're one of the most entertaining teams to take a look at right now, just because the way they play. And they bring highlights just like this one, with C-Boy coming in clutch on the Kindred. I think the real highlight player for Dusty, though, is Click. I think he's phenomenal to watch in laning phase. He's deadly. Out on the map, he's deadly. He's all around a great support for this roster.
Yeah, and they really had a very entertaining series versus Nordavind, actually. Having a look at over the Unique versus Viking matchup, this was an absolute banger as well, Jamada. It really could have gone either way, but honestly, Unique look an incredibly strong team coming into this tournament.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm kind of surprised. I think a lot of people kind of pegged Group B in general to just outright be a very, very weak group in comparison to the rest of the groups, but I mean, I think Unique honestly might have something to say about it come the knockout stages. I feel like they actually play pretty good League of Legends when they're feeling like it. I think yesterday, realistically, it should have been practically a clean 2-0 versus Vikings. So yeah, I'm excited to see what they can bring to the knockout stages personally.
Yeah, and of course, we are focusing our attention towards those knockout games today. And as I said, our first matchup is going to be Kova versus PK. It's going to be the first time that we've seen these guys on stream. Kova were a team that actually did very well in I think it was the Telia Masters tournament. They did really well in the tournament that was kind of pushing towards the NLC. But Unique sought revenge. You actually heard of the interview. They got revenge over Kova in their initial matchup on Thursday. In their initial matchup on Thursday, and then obviously Kova now find themselves in that elimination space. Let's start off with their performance from the previous series, from what we've seen, and I'll start off with Kova. What are the weaknesses that Kova? Where did they struggle in that matchup versus Unique, Gulborg?
It just seems like they're sometimes not awake during the early stages. It feels like they're sleepwalking. It just seems like they're falling behind with no real response, and it sort of comes from they have to have a proactive jungler in Yuna. If he's not there, there's no real way for them to actually do anything on the map. They're so in need of that jungle intention. I think it also comes down to when they are strong, on the contrary, is when they get out of the map, when they can forfeit that laning phase and actually start making plays around the map. You can take a look at Mercer, who used to be very known for his Twisted Faith as well, and Echo, champion to roam a lot on. We even saw him play Lissandra, where it was just around pushing waves and then helping the side lanes instead. So the weaknesses of Kova are specifically their early game. As soon as they get them to the mid to late game, they like to skirmish around and they like to fight, and that's really where their strength lies. But the problem is, if you're already behind in the early game and you want to fight in the mid game, that's a tough task, and that's why they have been losing these games.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the strengths that we saw from them in the Telia Masters as well, where their late game team fighting when they got there was clean, like it was really good, and they had sort of a good way to approach certain fights. But it did feel like the early laning phase, apologies, hectic home broadcasting. You guys must be used to it by now, coming from my camera. Jamada, having a look at the other side of the field, though, we've got PK, another team that we actually didn't know too much about coming into. Well, I'm sure Gulborg knew quite a lot coming into this. But
honestly, Gulborg does a lot about PK. But, yeah, I mean, PK in the first round as well. I mean, Kova and PK both really they really got smashed out in their round one matchup. So for me, it's been kind of hard to gauge exactly how strong they potentially are. I still think realistically PK probably the weaker out of the two teams. That being said, like Gulborg, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, I just coughed. Sorry. Yeah, nothing.
Rightfully so. Kova do have a relatively weak early game, so there are definitely places where PK could potentially look to sort of exploit that. But I don't know if PK can't really snowball a lead out of the early game that Kova seem to be struggling with, then I can realistically just see Kova kind of rolling over this series. Whether it's a 2-0 or a 2-1, I'm not too sure.
Well, Gulborg, given that I know you have your Danish affinity with our boys PK, where do you think the strengths of this team lie? Like, where can they look for a win? Even though, I would say this is a relatively even matchup, but where do you think they can look for a win?
Okay, so it is definitely the top side of the map. Like, we're looking at solo laners and junglers here. The bot lane, granted, they're decent, but Lineups used to be a top lane main and defaulted to AD carry because he wanted to play with his friends. That was like why he's an AD carry coming into this one. So the bot lane, while he has shown strengths, is definitely their weakest point. Now, in the jungle, they have Julbu, which should be familiar to you, Excoundrel, as well, as he was playing at Atlanta back when you did Nordic Championship. He can be a very explosive player. Either he just pops off or he just ints it, right? He's almost a two-trick on champions like Gragas and Lee Sin, two champions that's not favored in this meta as well, and that makes the task even harder for them. So when your strength lies in the solo laners here for PK, it's about Julbu actually getting a lead onto these solo laners. Alec is extremely versatile in his pool and his agency on champions. He can even pull out Katarinas, which he's mostly known for in solo queue as well, and Lundorf, who did go to your Masters with Vipers back when they were also playing the Nordic Championship, does have experience on champions like Renekton and Camille if you want to enable some of that carry potential. And that's what I'm waiting for. I want them to play towards these strengths. I'm not too happy about it on. Granted, it can be good for team chemistry, but maybe specifically this team is the one that has to go all out.
So the kind of the vibe that I'm getting from you here, Gulbug, is that if PK want the win, it comes through Julbu, who pushes those lanes ahead. They take an early advantage and they can snowball that. The win for Kova, it comes from their late game scaling and team fight capability. So a dichotomy of the way these guys like to play the game. It just depends who can execute better on their intended game plan. And I think the draft is going to tell us a lot as well. Let's now have a look at our predictions for the day before we head towards that first game. A lot of similar predictions across the board. I know, yeah, I know. They've kind of messed this up. This is the old graphic, actually. We did have to switch this around. I did not predict PK. I actually predicted Kova over PK. So they've just kind of switched me and Gulborg up here. Gulborg actually predicted PK, but the rest of the predictions appear correct.
Putting me out there to be a traitor to my own country. This is blasphemy at best. Like, I do not stand for this, but obviously I do still have the Absolved. And going into this, ends, they've let us down a bit, but I think it's a no-brainer. I think they still will have the upper hand against XY. Me specifically for PK, maybe there's a bit of bias in here, maybe there's not, maybe I'm rooting for them. And Absolve as well is a really interesting series for me with Eminem and Absolve, just because I think they both have strengths where they can contest each other, but I hope that it's the solo lane pop-up from Absolve that's really gonna have to shine through them for them. And then Tricked is, I just hope that they're going to be showing up now, because we know what kind of team they're capable of being, and I just need to see it now against Nordavind Black. But it's a really close series between Tricked and Nordavind.
Yeah, I think it would really be a shame to see Trick drop out, especially considering the hype around them. Sort of coming in, being, in most people's eyes, top 3, top 2. So dropping out in effectively the elimination bracket, like the first elimination bracket, would be an absolute shame. So, you know, I'm rooting for them. I've got friends there, you know, Pad, basically my teacher. So I want to see Trick succeed. It would definitely be really, really sad to see them drop out like this.
Well, we'll have to see how it goes. We're getting into our first champion select after a short break. We'll see you then. Welcome back, everybody, to the NLC Full Open. We're about to head into our first series, our first elimination match. I kind of forgot to impress the outcomes of today. We will be saying goodbye to some teams already in the NLC Full Open on day 3 here. Some teams will be packing their bags and heading home, which for you fantasy esports players out there, if you've got any of them on your team, fingers crossed they're not leaving quite so yet. But we are going into that first champion select, of course, pretty soon here. If you'd like to catch the other series that is happening right now, the XY series, that's over on twitch.tv/the UKEL. But we are obviously covering Kova versus PK. We've got the Danish representative. We've got the representatives of Common Sense on the analyst desk as well. We're going to head into Champion Select now. Let's see how this one plays out. Anything that you think is going to be pivotal? Do you think there's going to be some targeted jungle bans here versus Julbu?
I'd be very surprised if we do not see any target bans towards Julbu. Also because the style of Playa Makela is just so narrowed. We did see some Lilia come through from Julbu as well, but not that much success with it. And that's kind of what I'm afraid of here. So as I stated in the pre-game, it is just playing towards those strengths that they need to secure for them. So I think it's pivotal you take some of that out. Camille, great ban in this meta. Also great ban against Lundorf.
Yeah, I think it's the name of the game for PK is really going to be about, like we've highlighted, the top side strength, getting something early on for Jubal for like early pressure in lanes, and then on the other side for Kova, I think it's going to be more about sort of team fighting champions, things that can hold their own in lane, and then scale up to the later stages.
And as you mentioned, Lee Sin getting banned against Julbu. The Gragas still available, but obviously Gragas a little bit lower down in terms of kind of a jungle tier list, I would say. The Camille getting taken away from Lundorf. Now, the one thing that I do remember about Lundorf is his gangplank is pretty nasty. So I'm going to be keeping an eye to see whether that might be the case. The early Ornn lock-in gets given away. There's also Lilia open as well. We haven't seen much Lilia opening the NLC Full Open, but that is indeed now open for either team should they want it.
The last time on was blind pick. Lundorf just immediately picked Jax into it. With not that much success, they barely got rolling here. So Julbu with a Graves pickup is going to be an interesting adaptation from what we've seen the other times. And as you said, Lilia is still up there as a response to it. Lilia is one of the champions that also clears extremely fast and can contest Graves here. So interesting to see the Prior coming in here, but Julbu now, as we've talked about, have a tall task ahead of himself where he needs to get a lead for himself, and therefore his laners after. It's going to be interesting to see if they're going to be securing an AD carry like Jhin here or Ashe, but it is really up to himself here. So Ashe is going to be the lockdown. So already a bit of CC lockdown together with that double AD you get into jungle from Graves.
Yeah, and on the other side for Kova, I'd imagine you just most likely take the opposite to that, right? You take Jhin, you take one of the other like stronger AD carries. Now, I was gonna talk on Yuna's pick here because obviously I think it's most likely gonna happen. I'm not too sold on like Nidalee with Ornn. I know it sounds kind of weird. I think you want to, I would like to see something kind of try and match the Kindred and you sort of playground and team fights. I think the Galio lock-in together with that would build for a really strong sort of skirmishing mid 2v2 setup. It does mean they'll have to sacrifice the AD carry pick though, so I think that's what's going through Kova's mind right now. We'll have to see as time ticks on, but I think definitely either mid Prior or a Prior AD carry would be the two best things for Kova right now.
Feel like with the fact that you've already lost Ezreal, the Ashe is off the table. I feel like you kind of almost forced to head into an AD carry. They go for the Misfortune here. Something that we've seen, I think, popping up more and more during the NLC Full Open here, Gulborg.
You just have to pick Leona here. Get that champion. That's so much pressure you can get in the bot lane. It's really good into Misfortune as well. Can pretty much always stop the bullet time. Or you can go for a defensive option. That is, let's pick Braum. And Braum would be great here as well. Into Ornn and Misfortune as well. So two really good champions up for grabs here. And you can ban afterwards. Really the power of red side coming through here. Let's see what they opt into. Lulu, so could be for top lane.
Yeah, I think that's the one important thing to know is that Lulu is really a freeway flex in this meta at the moment. I'm definitely surprised to not see the Braum locked in though. I mean, there's just so much value for the Ornn, you know, MFR, Ornn ultimate, the 2v2 that you get from Ashe and the Braum together in lane. Then you're also talking about the Graves being there. There's so much synergy, but they want the Lulu now. So we'll have to see if there's any kind of plan around it. Also kind of, I feel the Sylas ban's a bit weird. It feels like a bit of a self-ban. You would maybe want the Sylas here yourself. So really curious to see what PK are sort of looking at towards this R4. And then for Kova, I think removing two top lane picks away from Lundorf is probably going to be the MO here.
So it's not the first time that Lundorf has just said, all right, we're just going to continue with these carry top laners. Fiora, something he's played back here when I remember casting him in the Danish championships as well, was something he just pulled out in the finals out of nowhere and just dumped on. So that is also going to be interesting. Thresh being banned here could mean you want Leona or just a target bans towards Tiara, who's also favored towards the Thresh. But now Braum has been locked. So power pick taking off the table there.
Yeah, we still have access to the likes of the Gangplank in the top lane. We still have access to Leona if you want it. You know, Leona is something that you can pick up if you're a PK in this situation. Still works fine, as you said. Good at nullifying at that pick. I imagine that Lulu is. I mean, I imagine that Lulu's going top, but that has that flexibility, and maybe Lundorf has that ability to say, well, I think I would take Lulu in this particular circumstance, because you've kind of lost the need for an R5 topside pick, given that you know that you're playing into Ornn, right? So you don't need that R5 counter pick situation. It's the Orianna locked in for Alec in the mid lane, though. Let's see how Kova choose to round out their comp. Again, I'd like another follow-up engage. That Leona seems like a pretty spicy pick, so I think Leona Syndra would be an okay rotation. Yeah,
and that's kind of what worries me here, that if Leona does come through from Kova, that draft is so set. You got all the engage and frontline you need in your life. You even have something you can fall back onto in the Kindred ultimate. Backline damage from Syndra and Misfortune is going to be amazing here. Rakan can sort of have the same purpose as well, but Leona just seems so much better for me right now.
Yeah, I think what's scary about this Kova draft, regardless of how they decide to round it out, is at the moment, in my eyes, they're kind of winning out almost every stage of the game, bar like the hyper late game. And even then, you've got the Kindred and the Ornn scaling to sort of help uplift the MF and the Syndra. So I'm kind of concerned for PK already. They rounded out the draft with Leona, which signals to us we're going to see the Lulu top lane from Lundorf. But in my eyes, I really feel like PK kind of fumbled the bag here on the last rotations for their draft.
Yeah, it does feel like there's a lot of eggs in the Ash basket. The Nautilus is another really good, solid follow-up engage for Kova. They just have a team fight that seems, and I think I'm going back to what Jamada keeps saying throughout the course of this tournament, the ease of execution. This is just a press button and go type of team fight for Kova, and sometimes that's kind of what you need. But obviously over on PK, they have the kind of the ingredients for success, right, Gulborg?
They do have the ingredients for success. You have Ash you can play around, but the problem is Leona here is your really only frontliner, but you really have to kind of go with the flow in team fights. You have to be able to dictate, and for that you also need a bit of a lead here. I'm a bit weirded out because their draft right now doesn't look like a red side draft. I take a look at Kova, I'm like, oh, they knew what the enemy was picking, so they got all the counter picks, but in reality that's not how it happened.
Yeah, Jamada kind of summed it up. He said, I don't know if there is any stage in the game where I'm looking at PK and saying, damn, they're favored. So I guess we'll have to see how it plays out. PK versus Kova, first game of this series. Our classic tried and tested casters are ready to take us through. Orcs and Hitbrain, take it away.
Thank you very much, Scoundrel. Hello and welcome to the caster desk. We've had 12 games over the last 2 days. Are we going to get another 6 today? Orcs, how you feeling, mate? You right?
Pretty good, pretty good. Been an interesting day and glad to get into some League of Legends. Won't complain.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty excited actually to get into this one. We've got some pretty good games coming up. Obviously, PK versus Kova is going to be our first series, but after this, we have Nordavind taking on, I've had a brain fart. Who are they taking on, Orcs? Tricked, thank you. Nordavind Black is as well, not Nordavind White. Nordavind Black taking on Tricked. Now, but we will focus onto this game. So the deaths seem to be pretty in favor of Kova right now, liking their scaling, liking the fact that they are, at the core, a very easy to execute comp. They've got their team fight buttons. They can work around that. You got the Kindred to keep the Syndra and Misfortune alive. You got the Nautilus and the Ornn for the engage. And you got a lot of AoE follow-up damage. I really like this Kova comp. Over to PK though, what are they looking to do, Orcs?
I mean, I think if PK do start to get momentum, I think things can be difficult for Kova because Kova have the tools, but if they do mess up, if we see the Misfortune fall behind the Ash, if we see the Syndra fall behind the Orianna, they won't really be able to climb back and get ahead in terms of that factor until later in the game. Now, there's still tools they can use. There's still opportunities to find engages in team fights, but I feel like, you have to respect that at some point PK will be difficult to deal with because, the Lulu pairing with the Orianna and the Ash and the Graves, there is a point where it hits critical mass. It's just you do have quite a bit of time before that. So I don't want to see Kova rush, but they can't just do their typical default to super late game team fighting because if they're a bit too slow, they might have an issue.
It's one of those things where when you look at one of these drafts where there is a bit of a scaling, you do put yourself on a timer or a soft timer. Feels like it's a lot of softer timer than normal here for Kova, and that timer is also fairly lengthy. It's not like they can't fight them in the late game as well. As long as Mirza and Snormy don't get completely shut down out of the game, they're still going to be relevant as they go later. And like Jamada hit on the desk, you've got those ornaments. So you basically have an extra half item for a lot of your champions as well to kind of negate a little bit of that late game. So I think late game, obviously there is tools that PK are going to have, but it's not like, okay, they've hit late game. It's not like a Cogmore Lulu where it's like, okay, the game's done. He's full build, level 18 Cogmore. You're not going to win this anymore. It's not that at all. There's still plenty of opportunities for Kova, even if this goes to like a 40-minute game.
I feel like there definitely is, but I feel like when it gets to like 4 items, that's when you might start to feel a little bit rough, you know, when the sheer amount of damage afforded by an Orion in the later stages, the power of the shockwave, and the shielding coming up from the composition. That's where I'd say around that 35-minute mark, when people are looking at four items, that's where I'm going to be a bit concerned for Kova, but that is a long way away. It's just making sure Kova, you know, they have a plan, they stick to it, they set a tempo for the game. And critically, I think I'm looking at Yuna on this Kindred, because I feel like you need to find momentum on this champion. You need to be picking up stacks consistently, because if you get shut out of the game, you're never really just going to come online at all.
Yeah, well, yesterday we had quite a lot of Kindred, actually. Most of our jungle matchups have been either the Kindred, Nidalee, or Graves. That's something we've seen a lot of. I was surprised we didn't get to see a Lilia, actually, because that was banned away in all 6 games yesterday. It was open in this first game. It looks like the Kindred versus the Graves was the more high prioritized junglers in this matchup. We'll keep our eyes on the Kindred, like you said. It's about hitting those 4 marks nice and early.
I feel like with the Lilia, it's one of these champions where it's incredibly powerful in the right circumstances with the right setup, but it's not super consistent. You know, there's definitely scenarios where the Lilia can be abused. And I think as well, it does have quite a high skill cap to make it work effectively. So I can understand it's not one of those champions that necessarily just because it's open, you 100% take it. But it's definitely one of those champions that in the right circumstances can 1v9 a game.
Yeah. I would like to bring attention to the top of your screens. PK's name is so long that it actually doesn't fit on our graphic. They're not Legelek. I couldn't even try and read that word. They're not that. I'm not going to try and attempt to say their name. I've done that in the past, and it didn't go too well. So PK, we're going to refer to them, but that is not the name of the team. It's just unfortunately their name is really bloody long, and we can't actually get it on our graphic. Yuna is going to go into PK's jungle, though, and steal away this red buff. Has been spotted out on this ward placed down, though, so Jobu will be aware of this, and it looks like he's now thinking about making his way towards this bot side of the map, but there was a little scout out by Tiara, making his way down towards that side of the map. And actually, looks like Jobu may just look to see if he can find a pick onto Mirza. Will get spotted out on this ward here. Has got the help of his support, but Jobu, is he going to get free buffed? Looks like he's going to contest.
I mean, this is a smart play. You have early planning, so you have the warding down to make sure you're aware of Jobu moving for your red. And also the Syndra. Having the priority early means that Jobu can't just really go for this play. He knows that he'll be challenged by Kova's mid laner, so he ends up having to back off and just give up his red buff. And that's actually
like 3 chickens as well there.
Yeah, it's actually a lot of time wasted, because you actually saw Yuna go all the way for the red buff and then run all the way back. So in terms of efficiency, it's not great. He does get an extra buff. But the thing is, that is actually matched by Jobu, because Jobu tried to match the invade but didn't really get anything from it. He ended up wasting a lot of time as well. So a little bit unfortunate there for Jobu. And then actually,
speaking of
Yuna also
unfortunate,
he gets choice of Scuttle. Happens to be he's on the bot side of the map, so he gets the mark, which is the ideal one for him.
That was a pretty nice start there for Yuna. Is going to actually move into this blue side jungle. It has been full cleared out, so with that sweeper from the plant, will know nothing's about in the jungle, so he's just going to head back to his own jungle to farm up, while Alec gets bullied pretty heavily by Mirza on the Syndra and is now completely out of mana.
Yeah, it's not for matchup mid, the Syndra to Orianna. Syndra can apply more early pressure, and it's a little bit rough for the Orianna, and obviously she does scale up quite well, but right now, suffering a little bit. It was a smart decision from Jolbu to go for the invade there, knowing that Yuna was on the bot side. And just with the camp spawning, it's actually put Yuna in a pretty unfortunate position because he only really had those Krugs to go to. And now Jolbu can reset and he can head straight to his bot side and look to clear out those camps, including the mark that has just spawned. But you see pings coming out. Yuna looks like he's going to try and invade on this. I would honestly like to see PK's bot lane look to defend this. You can see Iloguden already moving over to cover it.
Well, we spotted out on this ward by Eunice. They have that information to work with. He's going to summon Wolf up and just look for a little bit of light damage into him. Now Tiara roamed over as well. Smite available to Yuna. He is going to give this one up. Doesn't want to commit. It was a pretty optimistic play by Kova, but they don't lose anything, crucially. In fact, they do just assert a little bit more pressure into Jolbu. Red buff, Infernal Drake is on the map. We'll see whether or not either of these junglers try to prioritize that early.
You said I didn't lose anything, but it's actually quite a bit of time invested there for Yuna to move up, and he's starting to fall behind in farm in terms of the jungle, so his focus on stealing camps away from Jolbu and trying to get his marks has actually set him behind a little bit, whereas now, you see Jolbu go for this player on the top side. Yeah, Yuna.
Oh, no! That is not what you needed, Yuna. You were falling behind in pressure as that is. And then getting executed by the Raptors.
Can we get a slow-mo replay of that? I'd actually really appreciate slow-mo replay to break down exactly what happened in that scenario.
Oh, the popcorn chicken got him.
And one of the bad things as well is his camp doesn't reset now. There's still the chickens up and available, like the small ones. The camp's going to stay up until he clears out himself, but...
Here it is. Thank you very much. Oh... It's so tragic.
I mean, I understand he doesn't want to leave the brush because then he loses vision, but yeah. Thanks for the replay to our production team. But, a bit unlucky. He does now get a mark on the top side with that Scuttle Crab, but he has fallen quite a bit behind. Seen that?
Sorry, that hook? That hook? The lob takes a lot of damage there. Illigan as well on the tail ends. That was a Nautilus hook, if ever I've seen one.
What a champ. Do you see actually more summoners burn on the side of Kova? Snowmy going for the cleanse to try and maintain aggression in that skirmish. But overall, Lunops does get heavily chunked out.
Ooh, good wild growth there from Lundorf actually to get the knock up. Call of the Forge God will be traded back onto Lundorf as Brittle procs are on, and Lundorf's going to take a fair amount of damage in response from Tatooine. Pretty even trade overall as Jolbu has spotted out Merza here. Plays are going down in the bot side. Lilith has to flash away from Tiara. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Lundorf is being run down. First blood to the Ornn.
Yeah, just smacks him about. That's revenge for putting him through the hell that is laning against Lulu top. But a nice influx of gold because Tati was actually running low on CS in comparison to the Lulu. Definitely appreciating that scenario. Really shouldn't be happening. Lundorf a bit too over-aggressive. Tanked too many minions and got them low enough to be vulnerable to that all-in. But saw a heavy trade coming up bot lane from Tiara and Snurmy. And on the back end of that, they are just going to pick up that dragon pretty easily. Tiara, he's playing Interrupt. I think he's going to have to burn his flash here.
Yeah, he's going to have to. Everybody's running for him.
It's not so bad. You know, you got the dragon. Yes, you have to burn the flash, but the end result is you're able to get out.
And look at this rotation as well. Tatooine making his way towards the bottom side. Snormy already up in the top lane. That means the attention has shifted. The dragon is taken, and it looks like we've got Rift Herald attention being thrown down here by Kova. Lundorf doing his best to shove this wave in, but that Misfortune double up is already doing a pretty hairy amount of damage. Lundorf is about just under a third of his health.
Is that it?
No crit, by the way. That was just double longsword BF sword.
Small Q from MF, lose 30 HP. Yeah, you know, why not?
Level 6 has been hit onto Snormy. They're probably not too far behind. Snormy's actually halfway through level 6, so actually with ATCS to 60, probably fairly far ahead in the old experience department. Lilop's just hit level 6 and has that Enchanted Crystal Arrows. Tiara is going to get caught out by the Zenith Blade. Now they're looking for Snormies. The Ash Arrow will connect. Snormi doesn't have flash, doesn't have cleanse as Yuna misses out on the ultimate to keep him alive, but Tatooine has joined here with the Call of the Forge God. Gets the bounce, but a
Huge
massive
shockwave.
shockwave into collateral damage means Jolbu is going to be able to mop this one up. Yuna is in the middle, and the roots are going to come down. There's the end of the Syndra, and Tatooine's going to have his work cut out for him. A double kill picked up onto Elo Gooden already, as Tatooine is slowed, he is rooted, and he is caught in place. A triple kill to Jolbu.
Huge there for the side of PK, and they didn't even need Lundorf to assist, and they're still able to decimate that fight. Honestly, just stellar team fight in there. Great target selection, great engage, and as you said, the Lambs fight fails from Yuna, and they're able to clean up the fight with the consistent damage, and we'll get a replay of that. So I like the engage. They know that they have an instant numbers advantage. They have vision on Yuna as well. He tries to get in range, but this is a very wasted Lambs respite as a result. And then it's actually perfect shockwave from Alec to really drive things in their favor. The ult from Jolbu on top as well. And as soon as that happens, the fight's over. It's just clean up from that point onwards. You can see Kova trying to get away, but won't be able to do so with the slows from Linux. And also Jolbu just with that consistent Graves DPS.
And we already were worrying a little bit about Yuna falling behind versus Jolbu. Now losing out on that fight pretty heavily. 3-0-2 on the Graves, 69 CS. Serrated Dirk and a Warrior enchant finished up for Jolbu as well. He is pretty far ahead of Yuna. As you can see on your screen right now, 1,400 gold separates these junglers.
Substantial. I mean, he already had the CS lead, but picking up the triple kill there is massive as well. And that's my concern. You know, I feel like Yuna being behind now on this Kindred really puts him in a difficult spot, because he's going to struggle to contest any of these marks. Jolbu from now on can basically just block him out from getting any future marks because he's so strong. As long as he keeps an eye on it, he just cleared one out there. And Yuna won't really come online if he's unable to get those, unable to hit that 4-mark spike. And as we said, PK, you know, the desk was saying how Kova has that early strength, the priority mid lane, the priority bot lane, and we've seen that come out. But if you make a mistake like that, PK will come out ahead, and it'll be very difficult to get back into the game.
Yeah, it really will be. Lundorf is actually getting jumped onto here by Tatooine. Polymorph's going to block out from the Call of the Forge God. He's going to get that Brittle in for one last auto attack, but now they're going to find the hook. Now they're going to find the bullet time. The Solar Flare's cleansed out, and that's going to be a shutdown for Tiara. Jolbu is making his way over here. Throws out the blind to make sure Elo Gooden gets out, but a good pick from Kova in the bot lane.
Yeah, good punish. No flash available for Linux, so easily able to chain together the ultimates from Snormi and Tiara. A good play, and you need to consistently keep looking for those. Even though the jungle matchup is looking pretty doomed at the moment, bot lane has been going well throughout this game, and they should continue to be challenging.
Jolbu is hanging about here. Tiara will see him jump over the wall as Yuna is also waiting around 27 seconds until that Ocean Drake comes up. Now it looks like this is where the attention is, as Tiara has looked around Jolbu here, looking for that hook. It's going to connect it. Yuna putting some damage in. This is a mark. This is a shutdown into Yuna as the last mark spawns up in front of him as well here, I believe. I think that's 4 marks. Yeah, just like that. Yuna is back in the game.
Beautiful play there. Honestly, Tiara so good with the Nautilus. Wait as long as possible to land the hook as well. Waits out all the mobility. Lundorf a bit aggressive here.
Yeah, he's been ignited. He's running low. Tatooine, one more auto attack, forces the flash out. Flash Q! That's 2 solo kills in the top lane for Tatooine. Gets the dragon as well in his pocket, and we are looking at a Cloud Soul in this game.
Just when I'm like, PK are in the driving seat, they managed to throw it away so massively. I mean, if you look at the scenario, Lundorf can back off now. He can just back away, and he's fine. But instead, he walks forward, he's tanking the minions, he gets ignited, he's taking a ton of damage. This is not a scenario where Tati is like diving on top of Lundorf and killing him. This is Lundorf thinking, oh, I'm going to go aggressive here. You're playing Lulu top, just farm. That's all you need to do. You really don't need to be trying to find solo kills on the Ornn. And all it's done is given him a ton of gold in return.
Also, they're giving him experience. Experience very important on Ornn. Level 10 right now to level 9 in the top lane. Level 13 is when he can upgrade his own items. Level 14 is when Mirza, Snormi, and Yuna are going to start to get some upgrades. Essence Reaver picked up onto Snormi, so be looking for that Molten Edge around that time. Luden's Echo onto Mirza, so probably won't upgrade him until it's the Death Crown. I'm going to steal away this red buff. Actually, holding this in the bot lane. Looking for the lockdown. Looking for the stun. Snormy has to flash away. Throws out the ultimate. Linops taking some tower shots here. Lulu is going to get caught up underneath the tower. Linops going a little bit low, and they've got the backup of the jungler. Tiara looking for this, though. Here comes Alec, and Tiara has to flash over the wall. PK able to find himself a return kill in this bot lane.
Nice to see a punish coming out for Linops and Lulu and actually balance the aggro really well with a stopwatch. Let's see if they're able to race down this first tower here. Without a wave, I think this still goes over to the side of Kova. And really, after that team fight around Herald, Kova found many opportunities to bounce back in this one.
Right, well, Tiara is going to be able to hold this lane. Make sure that they will be able to get this farm onto the Misfortune.
Pretty important. Snormy needs to be picking up farm on this Misfortune. Does have that one item, but being down 3 kills to your counterpart kind of hurts, especially since you've significantly had more farm than your opponent.
Looks like Yuna actually may find himself in a little bit of hurt here. Has got Mirza, but Mirza's going to get shockwave. The Call of the Forge God comes in. Jolbu goes down, and Mirza's able to survive. Alec will be looking to hunt him. Flash available, comes in with the ball, misses it.
That's rough.
Flash down on the Oriana, but looks like it might be Yuna having to use the Lamb's Respite to keep himself alive. Going to put some damage into Lundorf. The rest of the team are making their way over. Here is everyone else. The flash over the walls. Yuna gets away safely. A beautiful hook by Tiara. And Tatooine gets his 3rd kill on the Lulu.
I'm just not quite sure what the game plan there is. It's, you know, Leona, Lulu don't really have that much damage, but against a Kindred who has a Lamb's Respite, there's no way you're going to take him down. Flashes away bait to the main, and Lundorf having a terrible game so far on this Lulu top. It's not going to be the 2nd Herald picked up here by Kova. And really, again, considering how bad that first Herald fight, they have massively bounced back in this one. Now, Snormy looks like he might be in trouble. Does have the cleanse and will just ult the wave.
Yeah, he's going to pop the cleanse, going to get locked down for the moment. They do look for the dive, but Illigan, and that's a little bit too aggressive, friends. Snormy able to find the kill, and Lilops will lose his life as well as Mirza picks that up. Both the carries getting some gold in their pockets. Jolbo and Lundorf running towards the team, but now here comes Yuna, can dance of arrows over that wall. Will bump into a couple of members. Is he still going to go for it? Teleport's going to get forced out. That's Alec joining his team. PK are going to be able to crack open this mid lane turret. But now
they're pushing
it's
through.
the
Alec,
collapse.
what are you doing?
There's the scatter of the week. There's the hook. Bye-bye, Alec. Mirza 4-1 on the Syndra now.
I understand the decision to go for the tower, but
Oh, no.
see more action. Nice dodge away.
Yeah, you're not going to dodge that, though, friends. And a great hook by Tiara once again. Means Jolbo has to flash. He's been exhausted, but the phase rush will be enough for him to get away safely. These hooks from Tiara have been jaw-dropping. He's been landing so many clutch hooks.
Yeah, I mean, Tiara during the Talia Masters was a huge component for Kova being successful, and I really think, as far as sports go, he is definitely a solid player. I will say, however, that a lot of these recent plays by PK have just been really questionable. I think going for the mid lane tower there is fine. Yes, you're down in numbers. Yes, there's the risk of the on-engage, but I do not understand Alec's pathing. It's like he forgot there's an enemy team and was like running forwards, trying to crash the wave in for I have no idea what reason. Now, a reset has come in from the side of Kova, so it does mean that PK are going to be able to get to this dragon first, and they really want to secure this 3rd one. You know, we said the Lulu, Oriana, Ashe are going to be strong on the late game. Getting this dragon gives them a little bit more of a chance to get to that point.
Yeah, there's a bit of a slowdown. Obviously means you had that wild growth a little bit more often. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow as well. One of your major long-range engage tools. Being able to fire out as much as possible is nice, especially when you have gone for the Blade of the Ruin King build. So no CDR, no Essence Reaver. Every little helps at this point. As Mark is up in the Wolf Camp. I don't think Yuna is really going to go for that. I would like to have a quick look at how many marks Kindred is on. It's 5 at the moment, so it has slowed down a little bit on that front, but Yuna just going to jump into this jungle and might be looking to take away another red buff. It's coming up in a few seconds, although Illigan is coming to try and clear out some of this vision.
I'd just like to have a look at the gold, because substantial amounts on to Mirza, but Alec actually pretty even in terms of gold, despite the 5 kills over the counterpart. And with the farm advantage, Jolbu still is ahead in that department. Mostly it's kind of the discrepancy in top lane. Lundorf kind of working with the support Lulu amount of gold. Oh, Tiara's on aggressive here.
Yeah, they actually used the depth charge onto Lilops there. There's going to be the shockwave. Good Lamb's respite to make sure they survive. Call of the Forge God's going to knock up 2. Heal comes down, and now Lundorf's joined the team. PK do get a pretty decent amount of chunk onto Yuna, and that will just force Kova away for now.
Yeah, but it was a really nice timing from Yuna there. I feel like a split second later and you're just dead. The CC chain takes you out. Oh, Tati is tanky. Jolbu does a lot of damage. We'll be able to secure his red and just back away though. Level 12 on the Ornn. One more level till he gets his own ornament upgrade. Gives him a lot of extra gold worth of stats on that.
There's a nice one there. Kova are going to make their great... Oh, no. Only Merz is going to make the great escape. Unit actually potentially getting caught out. The solar flares landed on. Baron spawning up and the blind is there. Shut down for Alex. Tiara does land a big hook, though. They've got the bullet time. Another scatter of the weak connects. There's the double up. There's the bullet time. Shield comes in from Lundorf. And now Kova, they're hunting for Lilops. Can they find him? He's able to slow them down with a volley and get away to safety. It's a 1-for-1. Jungle for mid lane. Trade out there, but the shutdown given over to Alex.
I really like the pick there, but then just instantly PK disrespect their opponents and face check. It was actually the Misfortune who took down Alex, but I mean, against this composition of Kova, you just cannot afford to face check them. This Syndra at the moment just presses R and kills someone. They just need to learn to take the kill, be happy with it. Take a kill, be happy with it. But instead, again and again, trying to push the envelope a little bit, it does backfire once more.
Oh, 20 minutes on the clock. We are 3,000 gold up for Kova right now. Affinity Edge, Essence Reaver finished up into Snormy. So once that level 14 comes in, expect to see the Molten Edge onto Snormy. A lot of base AD to work with. Means he will be hitting like a truck. That's almost there for his own upgrades.
I feel like a lot of the sustained DPS in these team fights is going to be coming from the likes of Linops and Jolbu, but right now I really struggle to see how they're going to be able to output that because, you know, if you're in range to be auto-attacking, you're probably in range for the Scatter of the Week or Bullet Time, and they're just doing so much damage right now. It's difficult to navigate these. Now you actually see Chara going for a very deep flank here. There's a potential opportunity. He is just looking for the vision, but I think he's going to back away. Team not quite in a position to follow through on this.
Tiara is in that fog of war. They do know he's about, though. Ashara also spotted Mirza move into this side of the map, so PK actually grouping up here as the Scatter of the Week does land onto Illigan.
I love the position, though, from Chara. It just forces everyone on PK to back away. Just the threat of the Nautilus flank. Now, they are looking for an engage.
Here's the Ash Arrow. That's a big Scatter of the Week. Here comes the Call of the Forge God. They're actually keeping him off for the moment. Yuna stepping forward. Here's the bullet time. Melting through the health bars of PK as 2 go down. Kova with the old bait and switch. The shockwave won't be enough. The double flash from the bot lane. The thumbs up. And that's going to be Baron.
Some beautiful play from Kova there. Honestly, the engage on Mirza makes sense. Landing the Crystal Arrow.
Oh, I think Orcs has dropped out, so I'm going to carry him.
Dropped out. I'm just stunned.
You're stunned. Okay, I thought you were talking and then broke out there. Baron's going on. Actually, Jolbu with Linops actually will be enough to dissuade Kova from the Baron. So that will stay alive. There was a ward in the pits. They had that to work with. You know, a bit of vision. But it's all about spending up that gold now.
How does this happen twice in a game, by the way? It actually feels like Yuna has more difficulties against the monsters than he does against the players. And that actually stops Baron, by the way. That's not a minor death. That actually stops him from being able to do Baron.
Oh, he died? What's wrong with
Baron?
Sorry, I was so concentrated. I was like looking at Discord, making sure you hadn't broken up. Thank you for the replay, because apparently I'm
the engage is nice, but that Scatter of the Week completely stops it. The follow-up with the ult, I actually feel like it would have been better used on the rest of the team than on Leona, but the bullet time here, beautiful. Completely forces a fight in favor of PK and splits them up. And then this double flash, the synergy from the bot lane, just beautiful team fighting play. But really, it was... I actually want to see a replay of the Baron clip if you can, just of Yuna dying. And
I can't believe I missed that
as well. He had Smite to give himself some help, and he just honestly just misplayed that, and that literally cost them the Baron and a Dragon, because they should have just taken that Baron. Very hard to win a Smite fight against a Kindred with Lamb's Respite, because you can just ult your Smite and then take it himself. But then because they had to reset, it gave over the dragon to PK.
Oh, we did just see the Molten Edge get handed over to Snurmy. So a lot of more AD to work with. Got the Zeal as well. So sitting on that 75% crit on the Misfortune. So once you got that rapid fire cannon, those auto attacks are going to sting. The Death Cap also in the build here for Merza. So once level 15 is hit by Tatooine, set the Death Crown. Looks like PK though, and maybe setting something up here. Ash Arrow gonna land onto Merza. The Call of the Forge got into Solar Flare, but they've got the combo. They've got the burst. PK find themselves a double kill onto Snurmy.
That looked even better than the last engage on Amazing. No flash, ulted by the arrow, ulted by Leona, but that Nautilus MF combo.
Oh no! Unleash power, secure that one. Yuna gonna go a little bit low, but not gonna go down as Jolbu actually might be hunting for the jungler. Dashes over the wall. Yuna jumps into the pit, pops the Lamb's Respite. Jolbu gonna go low himself here as he is CC'd for days and taken out Yuna. Pretty low, but no jungler to worry about, so you can't use that smite to heal.
Has to care for the Baron. We've seen that once before. Fortunately, Tati has smite. So even if he did die, they'd be okay. But no jungle threat. Able to take that one down. Merza actually has this.
Oh, Merza! Didn't expect Linux to be stealing away a camp. Linux gets himself a free kill.
Big shutdown there as well. Pretty significant onto the Ashe. But ultimately, small consolation prize, given the context. Now, this looks like a great engage, but there's no follow-up, and the Nautilus knock-up into the damage coming out from the Misfortune is just really beautiful combination. And then Lundorf just gets Syndra'd. No other way to phrase that one. But I feel like Jolbu, I thought he was waiting to just dash over and one-hit Yuna, but it's clear he didn't have vision and didn't know where Yuna was, and then kind of didn't expect it. And then the flash at the end is so greedy. When you know he has Lamb's Respite up and his team are on Baron, it just never was going to work. Yeah, Jolbu's dead again, unfortunately.
He just got Kindred. Well, that is going to be tier 2 going down, Baron buff. Stormy running around with that 95% crit on the Misfortune. Rapid fire cannon finished up, Molten Edge, and there's the bullet time onto Alec into the hook. Snurmy is just so strong right now. Kova get the inhibitor, and it looks like they are going to step away for the moment. Tiara playing a little bit of fire here, taking an Ash Arrow, Zenith Blade, all of the CC. Illigooden is just taken out like it's nothing. Tiara, the master of the bait, as they get themselves a kill onto Linux as well. 2 kills for nothing there for Kova. Massive scatter the week coming in from the Syndras. Jolbu going to get chunked out, going to get zoned out by Snormy. He'll be looking for Lundorf. And you were talking about damage. Snurmy is hitting like an absolute beast right now. Heavyweight boxer here on the MF. 27 minutes on the clock, and that's going to be a late shockwave for a shutdown. Kova take the game.
Really strong performance. There was definitely some shaky points, particularly from Yuna, who I'm not going to dive too deep into that, but definitely some question mark pings going towards him. But for the most part, Kova's team fighting was stellar, other than that little blip they had around the Rift Herald. And you can see they knew what their company to do. They knew that to an extent they didn't want to let this go into the 35-minute mark, and they hit their points. They hit their 10-point points. They kept the momentum going, and they were just able to consistently find picks. And I really feel like the bot lane, absolutely stellar. Mirza as well, massive on the Syndra in these team fights. And it felt like any time PK thought, we have a good engage, we found someone, we picked someone, instantly Scatter of the Week comes in. The bullet time and the Nautilus DC was beautiful as well.
I would really like to see from Kova in game 2 a break in the trend that we've had. We've had so many teams win game 1 very convincingly like that, and then game 2 picking something a little bit too cocky. Go for another team like that. Just go for another team fight, ease of execution team, and Kova, they can take a 2-0. But PK, the ball is in their court now. Can they bounce back? We'll find out after this break. We'll see you in a second, guys.
must be dreaming. Think I saw a ghost. Or was it an angel of the past that we all know? Ain't got the answers, but I hold the hope. So I'm holding on to the love, embracing the unknown. Now I'm dancing to the music. I'll just keep dancing till I lose it. Yeah, I got that Friday feeling. Yeah, it's all that I've been needing. Feel it, feel it. You're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, so good. Feel it, you're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, so if I'm dreaming, I don't wanna know. 'Cause this is all I need, a perfect story told. I ain't got the answers, I still hold the hope. So I'm holding on to the love, embracing the unknown. Now I'm dancing to the music. I'll just keep dancing till I lose it. Yeah, I got that Friday feeling. Yeah, it's all that I've been needing. Feel it, feel it. You're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, so good, good. Feel it, you're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, so good, good. Feel it, you're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, so good, good. Feel it, you're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, so love is all we need, 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 love is all we need. Feel it, you're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, so good, good. Feel it, you're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, so good, good. Feel it, you're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, so good, good. Feel it, you're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, so good, good.
Don't look up, we're nearly in sync, but not in step just yet. When you time that look, you know this can't be second best. It's all in the timing. There's not a right way or a wrong way. It's just a short way or the long way.
Welcome back to the NLC Full Open. We witnessed a game of League of Legends there. That was definitely a game. I can confirm we had a start and end and everything in between in that first game there between PK and literally just mind blanked. Help Kova. There we go. PK and Kova. It was a Kova win, of course. I'm going to have to come to Gulborg first, as he's, I'm sure, just drying his tears after that first game. He needs to recover a little bit, obviously, through the pain that he's feeling on the whole of Denmark right now.
I feel betrayed by them. I think it came true that the bot lane, you did see a big difference down there. Kova bot lane looked way more confident down there. But Lundorf, my man, to get solo kills so many times by an On. I hope you got a good apology ready for your team, but like it's just the things that collided in that. It looks so good in the early game. We get 3 kills with Julbu. He's ahead of the tempo in jungle, and I'm like, I even said to you guys, all right, pack it up, boys. My prediction's going home, and then it just collapses.
Yeah, it feels so strange to see it was almost a silver platter type play that Kova give over to PK, right? It's 3-man shockwave into that cleanup. And off that as well, especially because the early game, it kind of seemed like Graves was going to be behind on tempo, and he was, but he ended up actually farming more camps out, and then to get all of that injected gold off the Herald to then kind of, it wasn't necessarily all Julbu's fault, but kind of felt really in it away. So you feel right to be betrayed, Gulborg.
I'll tell you what, let's have a look at that play, because you did mention the Rift Herald play. We're going to break it down. This time, you've got the big brain analysis of Scoundrel to take you through this particular clip. First of all, I want you to notice the positioning that you can hopefully see here. Snurmy and Tiara are up here by themselves. They are completely split off. And if I draw a little divide on the map here, that's essentially the split of the team. You have 3 members. You can see both Linops and Ela Guden with a Julbu on the Rift Herald side, and you can see that Smurmy and Tiara are completely split off on the top side of the map. So if we play this clip out, you're going to notice that Tiara moves down, but Snurmy's a little bit late. And this is an opportunity for PK to go in, force a 2 versus 3, teleports come through, and immediately all the CC goes onto Snurmy. So he's just dead. A little bit of a late shockwave from Una, and you could just see how disjointed this fight is from here. The 3-man shockwave was absolutely incredible. Tati on the front line doing his best, but it was just a couple of misplays after misplays for Kova. Again, the ultimate was pretty poor. The ultimate was pretty poor from Una, and then they were able to clean up. And again, it was just because Misfortune was a little bit out of position. And this is exactly what Jamada said. It should have been from this point. You've got a triple kill on your Graves. I'm just going to highlight him because you just got to highlight Graves. You've got a triple kill on your Graves. You should be able to springboard the game here relatively easily, especially with picking up the Herald. You've got a 2k gold advantage in your favor, but they didn't. And that's kind of what we're going to have to discuss before we head into this next game. Why didn't they? Because this should have been easy from this point onwards. That is like the biggest gift in the world, and you squandered it very quickly.
It quickly comes down to the priority in lanes. Julbu gets really greedy with his lead as well, even contesting for Scuttle when the reset time was on for his team. So essentially what that means is that his whole team backed. He's the only one out of the map. He tries to contest Scuttle, and what do you know? The whole of Kova is there to kill him. Quickly shut down gold back to Una, the tempo back to Una. He gets to clear up the camp, so all that lead essentially gone. That also means the rest of Kova can play with no without having to worry about the jungle pressure from Julbu, and they just keep diving onto Linux and Elogun. It's just so easy for them every time, and I hate to nitpick on draft, but when we were watching that game, me and Jamada quickly all the time went, how good would Braum have been here instead as well? Yeah. But also, I think you both correctly predicted the outcome of that game. Kind of said, okay, for PK, they need to win in lane. Like, clearly, they have a Lulu matchup in top lane. Lulu is not designed to go even. She's designed to absolutely bully melee matchups and take control of the lane. But Lundorf went 0-4 and got solo killed by an Ornn. That kind of tells you everything you need to know. The laning phase went out the window for PK. And then I can count so many times when we just saw team fights executed well. Like they were just simple shockwaves into Misfortune ultimates where, as you said, the Braum probably would have been a difference maker in some of these situations. But I mean, Kova didn't need to do anything fancy. They found a choke point, they found an engage, they went shockwave, bullet time, bam, win a team fight, do something. And it was exactly as you both predicted how the game was going to play out. It did that. And really, I think it did come down to draft Jamada as one of the key, I would say, Achilles heels for PK in that scenario.
Yeah, I just think Braum was too high value a pick to just not take there. And then to take the Lulu and then see Lundorf perform in the way that he did, it just feels like, you know, double whammy. Feels bad. Like I can't really emphasize how much, me and Gulbo really can't emphasize how much it just really seemed to be a fumble. So yeah, I think just a little bit more awake in the draft. I don't even really know what to say. So yeah, PK just needs to wake up in the draft.
I don't think you need to say much more. But again, reiterate, this is best of 3 series, not over yet. We have seen series swing back the other way. Definitely still in the game. PK, they've got 2 more games potentially left to go. We'll see how that second champion select goes after this break.
Stay sweet summertime, sipping in a high, we caught a fever for 2. Go together like neon in the night. I know I'm better with you. I know that you see me the way that I am, floating on a feeling with no other plan. You make me feel good, lost in the moment. You make me feel good, hearts running wild. You make me feel good, love like I'm falling. Know that I'm all in you every time. You make me feel good. You make me feel good, hearts running wild. You make me feel good, you make me feel good, hearts running wild. You make me feel good. Here by my side, I'm in love with every little thing that you do. You're my paradise. As long as I got you, I know my sky will be blue. I know that you see me, I know you see me the way that I am, the way that I am, floating on a feeling with no other plan. You make me feel good, lost in the moment. You make me feel good, hearts running wild. You make me feel good, love like I'm falling. Know that I'm all in you every time. You make me feel good. You make me feel good, hearts running wild. You make me feel good. You make me feel good, hearts running wild. You make me feel good, lost in the moment. You make me feel good, hearts running wild. You make me feel good, love like I'm falling. Know that I'm all in you every time. You make me feel good. Must be dreaming, think I saw a ghost. Or was it an angel of the past that we all know? Ain't got the answers, but I hold the hope. So I'm holding on to the love, embracing the unknown. Now I'm dancing to the music. I'll just keep dancing till I lose it. Yeah, I got that Friday feeling. Yeah, it's all that I've been needing. Feel it, feel it. You're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, so good, good. Feel it. You're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, so if I'm dreaming, I don't wanna know. 'Cause this is all I need, a perfect story told. I ain't got the answers, I So I'm holding on to the love, embracing the unknown. Now I'm dancing to the music. I'll just keep dancing till I lose it. Yeah, I got that Friday feeling. Yeah, it's all that I've been needing. Feel it, feel it. You're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good, feel it. You're feeling good.
Welcome back. We are into Champion Select for our second game of the series here. PK versus Kova. PK now on blue side, Kova over on the red. We'll see how the draft changes up. And I think for PK, there were big changes. As both Jamada and Gulborg said, they came out of that draft and thought Kova have just won all of it. And so PK need to shape things up here and change a little bit of the way they're approaching this game from this point on.
For sure, but I mean, we have the losing side pick side here, right? So that means PK must have picked the blue side themselves. So we're looking onto them wanting to get some priority picks. And I don't know if that's just Lundov saying, okay, On is broken. He killed me 4 times. I want that champion now. To just first pick it and you let the Graves through instead. Or you ban the Kindred. Because in all honesty, I don't think there was any picks from the last draft where you have to say that's a ban priority. I think a lot of it came down to what you got for yourself and how you played around your opponent. So I just want to see them adapt and actually have some decent winning conditions and not being outperformed all over the map.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I would have to say here too. Like you say, swapping over to blue side seems kind of strange to me, only in the sense of when they were on red side, they could have very easily have drafted a pretty... Well, they could have just won draft by R3. So I'm curious to see why they swapped over and what they're looking to first pick. I like that Kova actually removed on the final ban. And the Jhin hover, I don't really imagine it being swapped away from. So they just want Jhin. That's exactly my thoughts.
So curious. So curious to me because it's a champion that had no priority whatsoever in the series you just played. And now you're like, okay, this champion...
It was open the whole way through, right?
Yeah,
it was open the whole way through draft. And...
that is just what's curious to me. But let's see, they might have a good plan towards a Jhin. Obviously an AD carry, that's good with a facilitating AD. Also works well with the likes of Pantheon, Leona, these kind of engagers, especially laning phase. But with the Ashe already secured and carry jungler available, it wouldn't surprise me to see them just go for this AD carry pick, double AD carry pick, and just put the ball over in PK's court. And Julbu instantly coming in with the Gragas pick here. Now, Gragas traditionally a champion that does well into Kindred because you can knock him out of the R, in theory, but some of the times it's just, you never really get the combo done and the Kindred just outperforms the jungle clear. But it's going to be interesting because Yuna did have a really good jungle clear against the Graves as well.
This does, however, though, set up Kova for a really high-value Braum pick. With the Camille there as well, I think, again, you're running double AD carry, you've got Ashe there, you've also, you're into a Gragas, so I think, like last time, Braum has really high value on R3. So, curious to see whether Kova agree or not. I think the Trundle hover is just a hover. So I think that'll probably be my choice of pick here for Kova, but definitely want to support. Okay, well, the Volibear is a champion, sure.
They're going to go for Volibear top. Interesting. They've gone for heavy comfort here for PK. Yeah. It's Julbu on his Gragas. Lundorf has got a brawling top laner like his Camille. They're kind of going back to what has worked for them previously. The Volibear is an interesting one. Tati was a big Ornn player. He's a big tank player. He kind of had that sort of, like, I guess, rock-like role for Kova, especially across their Telia Masters performance. But I agree with you. I think Braum would have been a nice value pick for Kova, but it depends whether PK identify that and potentially even think about banning it out, because it is still up and available should Kova want it if it doesn't get taken away.
And here's the thing you talk about. I think that's an interesting evolution in Tattoo too, because when he was playing the Finnish Telia Esports series before we came to the Telia Masters, he was playing Camille and Renekton non-stop, all the champions he would play, and now back onto Volibear, it is also some of the comfort he had back then. Then when he came to a higher level, he started playing the tanks, but he's back to what he used to do now. So I'm not afraid of Tatui in this one, and he must feel good after having the performance he just had on Ornn beforehand. But a lot of globals are being banned out here over on the side of Kova. think this is a very good read, specifically because you already have the Camille. You want to shut down the split with Fresh. And I take a look at Yamada as the Rakan bans come in here.
Yeah, the Rakan ban kind of strikes me as strange. I don't think you'd often want to pair the Rakan with the Ashe in a situation like this. I think the setup support makes a whole bunch of sense here for Kova. Now, I think moving over to PK, I mean, it's going to have to be something blind and safe. You could end up taking away the Syndra. We saw how hard the Syndra had, how much of an impact the Syndra had in the last game. So I think it could be a very safe takeaway. And I think Leona just makes a whole bunch of sense when you've got it with the Jhin. Just gives them that extra facet of engage. So I think PK have the opportunity to round out their draft pretty solidly here.
Velkus is not going to be the pick. It's one of Elogun's hovers that he usually does, as far as I remember. But I would not like to see a champion as so mobile as that. I want to see a champion that can play around in the map and actually be a help on the side lane as well. Syndra can be fine as well. Good wave clear, dominance in the mid lane, and you can move on to create some skirmishes. And here you already have a lot of skirmish potential with the CC built in all the champions that PK has actually drafted. Taking a look at that bot side, you have picked Leona into the Thresh. So you're pretty much never going to get any early shenanigans down with that pick. You need to get some skirmishes around and away from that Thresh. Surely not.
I was thinking, okay, Silas was banned previously, so it would make sense that maybe this is a specific ban versus Merza, because I remember Jamada scratching his head saying, well, I don't necessarily know whether I agree with the Silas ban, but maybe this is a pick that specifically Merza is pretty comfortable with. All right, we've got 45 seconds until we start to head over to our casters. Who would like to talk about some win conditions? I'll start with you, Jamada, and I'll just give you one of the teams to pick. You can pick whichever team you want to talk about here. Gulborg, you get the other one.
I'll talk about Kova because I'm sure Gulborg wants to talk more about PK here. I think that they have a lot of options, really. They can kind of play for almost every lane here. I think it kind of just depends on what lane they value the most, whether they want to play towards the bottom side, whether they want to allow Tatoi to potentially sort of manhandle the Camille on this Volibear. So I think it's really going to be on Yuna's early jungle pathing, and that's going to kind of dictate the flow of the game for Kova in the early.
Going into this one, from the side of PK, this is what I expected from them. We were talking about them in the pre-game, and I do think that if Yulbu is going to be able to get his teammates ahead in the early game, then I actually think that when you have the likes of Syndra and Camille that can just dumpster you down, and there's no real tank threat on the side of Kova, that if you get the ball rolling in the early game, you can actually steamroll it towards the mid and late game. So early game pressure from Yulbu is what I'm going to be paying attention to, and I'm going to be looking him to apply that pressure to the lanes.
Well, we'll have to see how this game plays out. Orcs and Hit Brain ready to take us through it. Let's go.
Thank you very much, Scoundrel. Hello and welcome. So getting ready to go into game number 2 of the day. PK down 1 to Kova. And it was a pretty convincing win from Kova in game number 1, to be honest.
Yeah, there were definite moments, partially due to mistakes from a certain jungler, but for the most part, Kova definitely showed that they're looking like the stronger team right now. PK really needing to answer back in this one, and I feel like there are tools available to them. I think the Camille in particular can be a real threat in the later stages of the game, particularly in the side lane, but Lundorf needs to bounce back after that game 1 because that was rough gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, now you're on there, Camille. You got a little bit more dueling. You had the harass on the Lulu, but you are obviously outside of your shielding a little bit more squishy. I want to see how Tatui's going to be able to navigate this lane on the Volibear. He had a really, really good performance, but the person who I think I really want to talk about is Kova's support, Tiara. On the Nautilus was finding some really, really crucial hooks. Can he do it on the Fresh? Yesterday we saw Baloo pull the Fresh out and have a amazing game, catching out junglers, exiting pits. Just overall the hooks were insane. I want to see this kind of performance from Tiara, because if he plays as well on the Fresh as he played on the Nautilus in that last game, I think Kova are going to be a very scary, especially through their bot lane.
Yeah, we actually saw Kova having a strong bot lane matchup last game. Here, though, they actually have a better support matchup. Leona is typically seen as a counter to Nautilus, but Thresh is actually a counter to Leona because you can flay to interrupt the Zenith Blade and really just keep her at bay. So I actually expect Kova to be applying even more pressure in this bot lane. We'll have to see if that's how it pans out, but I'm confident in Tiara on the Thresh, and I think that's definitely a power point for the side of Kova. And if they do find that priority, it very easily lends into playing with Yuna and allow them to build up some stacks early.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll hopefully be loading through into the game fairly soon. It's been a pretty long loading screen, to be completely honest with you guys at home. Someone's playing on a potato, I think. But also, we got to talk a little bit about this Silas. So we had we had the Syndra mid last game versus the Orianna. It was Mirza on the Syndra and it was Alec on the Orianna. This time they swapped around a little bit and it's the Sylas. Early on in the game, Yuna was able to get early marks because of the push the Syndra was affording him.
Yep.
Versus the Sylas, how is this lane going to look?
I mean, Syndra can always have priority if she wants to, especially in the early levels. One of the things with Sylas is that the typical thing you do now is you max the W, the Kingslayer, for that big heal and burst damage. As a result, you don't have even less wave clear. You know, if you're in position to auto-attack the wave, you can start to push it quite effectively, but Syndra should never let that happen. You're kind of relying on Yuna showing up mid to facilitate that. So I'm a little bit concerned about the lack of priority mid lane that potentially may come out for Kova. And it may force Tiara and Yuna to work together to try and punish Alec on this Syndra so they can actually find some space in the lane.
Well, we are on to the Rift for our second game of the day. Kova 1-up in this series. A win here will push them through one step closer to making it out of the group stages.
And I think more critically, one more win for Kova is PK out.
Yes.
That's it. So everything really on the line on this series. Obviously, there's been quite a bit of stakes on the past couple of days' games, but this is where we will see teams actually going home. So really significant in this situation.
Well, no team is really taking any risks here. Question for me is Yuna going to get the stacks early? Very quick stacks in that last game, even after losing a couple of stacks early due to that Rift Herald misplay from the side of Kova.
And also the misplay against the chickens.
And the misplay versus the chickens. Had a very different start last time. To see whether or not we see an invade come through from Yuna. Or if it is just going to be more about the normal clear. Versus the Gragas, what do we expect? How does the Gragas clear kind of compare to that like of the Graves or the Nidalee? Does it keep
definitely
pace?
slower than those champions. There's a lot more ganking pressure that can come out from the Gragas. This is why we haven't seen as much Gragas recently, because the clear speed is slower, especially early. You know, once he gets a bit of AP behind him, he can just essentially one-hit the camps. But in the early levels, he's not exactly the fastest, but his ganking pressure is what really stands out in terms of the Gragas. Although, to be honest, in this scenario against the Kindred, you're never really struggling for clear speed because you will outpace the Kindred. Kindred's not the best at clearing through camps, especially when there's multiple enemies to deal with. His fastest really is the buffs and the Grump. But things like the chickens, you can see that Yuna's completely skipped them just because he doesn't want to have to deal with that.
Not going to be the case. As the Ash Arrow does go down, it will spot out Jolbu on his blue. So give me some information over that. Ash Arrow revealed a lot of the camps as well, bar the Grugs. So they're aware that an invade is probably not optimal here. So Yuna just going to probably clear his own jungle camps for the moment.
Yeah, should be able to clear out the blue here, and then... sorry, he's already cleared the blues. Should be able to clear his top side, his blue side, and then he can actually reset, grab boots to enable Predator. I really want to see Jolbu be proactive early on this Gragas. The whole point of picking it is you can apply that early pressure with the Predator, with the gank potential. And it's something that Jolbu played a lot of during spring of this year when he was playing in the Nordic Championship. Gragas was a really frequent pick for him, and I honestly think it's pretty good into the Kindred. If you land that CC, obviously you can limit his mobility, and the ult versus the Lamb's Respite is a really effective tool.
Yeah, that's the nice thing, is you can knock a whole team outside of that, provided you haven't used it to engage in. Yuna once again gets pretty lucky on these Scuttle Crab spawns. We'll be spawning up on the bottom side with a mark for him, so trade off for that between the junglers. They spot him out here. Has got the push from his bot lane, so don't expect any interruption from Jolbu on this, but Jolbu may just look to see if he can find something onto Mirza. With the Scatter of the Week going down though, not landing onto the target, probably just going to have to cool it there, as Jolbu will get a counter jungle off, spotted out, but already counter jungling a bit of Jolbu means that the junglers are relatively even. Is a 8 CS lead to Jolbu at the moment, but a lot more camps for Yuna to go pick up in his jungle. I'm glad
I haven't really seen anything yet, and I feel like the reset should have come in. I really like having the boost early on the Gragas just to enable that. You might have remembered when Gragas was really meta, we used to have that red side clear where you do all 3 camps, then just reset instantly for the blue. But I'm not seeing that right now.
No, actually looking to go in here. The cleanse comes out from Snormy as Tiara will play back, coming into the hook. Jolbu Flash belly bot available. They get another stun off onto Snurmy. Has to flash away as Jolbu comes forward. Doesn't burn the flash though. Snurmy going to get chunked. Both Summoner Snails burnt now on the Ashe. Wave will push into them though, so we'll be able to farm this fairly safely. Lundorf though has a pretty big wave crashing into his tower. Is looking for Tattoo, who's trying to go off for a base, and hook shots him to slow down the recall. Base has finally come through, by the way. Oxford Jolby got himself some boots. As a Mercer going for a trade with Alec. Alrighty, cool. So if you wonder why Orcs isn't talking, something's gone wrong on his end. I've just got an update. So it's all me now, baby. Another Hawk shot. It's going to go down. Actually, this time doesn't spot Jolbu out. He is taking the mark away. So not really going to look for any attempt for that. And the answer from Kova is going to be this Cloud Dragon. Early Dragon stacking was a good win condition for them in the last game. Snurmy.
Hello.
Going to make sure they're able to get this. And it sounds like Orcs is back.
Hey, yeah.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah, just had some connection issues. I'm back though. Dragon picked up pretty good early for Kova, and actually did just check, and apparently I was misinformed. There was a period where Silas was going W max, but apparently people are back onto the Q max hype, and so he just have a fair bit of wave clear afforded to him earlier than otherwise. But Miz has actually been doing pretty well in this lane matchup up against the Syndra.
Yeah, he's doing all right. He's only down 4 CS. The Scuttle Crab has spawned up. It's not a marked one, though. And it actually looks like Lundorf is going to be the one to go make sure that nobody can take this, as he is sniffing around, spotted out on the ward. And Eunice just happy farming up his own jungle. This time not being too aggressive. Obviously, had that one counter jungle, but for the most part, been a more relaxed start for him. The chicken camp is currently the marked camp. That has been taken, and Yuna just going to start up this red buff. Managed to pick a dragon up for his team. Running around with a 1 stack, so is a little bit slower compared to last game on the stack build-up, but still farming up pretty effectively.
He hasn't died to his chickens, so that's something. And actually, one thing to note is that top lane is going really well for Lundorf overall. You know, maintain a CS lead in this matchup. Not really struggling at all up against Tati, so considering the Camille is going to outscale quite significantly, going good. Just needs to not get solo killed.
That's all he's got to do.
Well,
now
not get solo killed twice. It's an improvement.
Snurmy has this wave bouncing into him. Last time we actually saw Kova after getting Dragon, lane swapped fairly quickly towards that Rift Herald in the top side. Looks like they're not doing that for now, Snurmy. No flash. Cleanse is coming up fairly soon, and it looks like PK are going to try and contest this mark. Deny that from Yuna.
Ping's coming out from both sides. Jolbu actually went for a reset to get over here. Kova are looking, but it's very hard to secure a scuttle against the Syndra. So as you can just pick it up and yank it away. It looks like Alec not feeling comfortable to step back into the river with 3 members there. Yuna just gets this then. Jolbu's not going to be here in time to sort of stop this from happening.
A second mark over to Yuna. He's going to pop the ward and we'll spot it out. So Yuna clearing this out. Jolbu's actually making his way over. Pop the Predator. Mikey's are on, and he's looking to run him down with a belly. A flash comes in, pops him back, but Yuna does have ultimate to buy some time. Here comes the rest of the team. Where's the ultimate? There it is. They caught him inside the Hextech ultimatum. He's buying some space for his team. The Stormbringer's been bought. Yuna flashes out and finds himself first blood. Cast stolen away from Merza. Delivers members into him, and that's going to be the turnaround kill as Lundorf is going low, as Merza's finding Alec, getting him down. The red buff will just be handed off with one last chain lash. Now in the bot lane, the curtain has been called. Tiara not quite standing, and the snipe! Lemov's gonna find himself another kill.
He gets 2.
Double to the Jin.
Great play there from Lenov. Saw Leona go down just on the sort of highlight at the top. So I'm not sure what happened there, but Lenov's managing to clean up that play with the ultimate. Some beautiful play there. We'll get a replay. So Jolbu goes in for a very aggressive combo, and he just doesn't have the damage. I mean, he lands everything, but he's still alive. And actually, I think Lundorf makes a mistake here. Instead of trying to burst him before his ultimate comes out, he instead uses his own ultimate and delays his damage. That allows Yuna to live for such a long time. Does end up going down thanks to a cask from Miz, kind of getting Alec in range, but they just massively win out this 3v3 because so much was committed onto Unit, and again, he survived for such a long time. Now the bot lane play, Chara thinking he's actually out of the radius of the ultimate. Snurmy gets caught out, and then the beautiful W to clean up. It was just complete outplay there from Linux.
Yeah, really nice for him. This PK are actually going to rotate over and pick up this first Rift Herald. Linux in the top lane, and this just means Snurmy's going to get some free time, try and get some farm, try and get some plates for himself. So we are on that 10-minute mark, and Kova looking for a cross-map play here. Lundorf will spot them out with the ward, and Yuna just going to take away the camp.
See a lot of aggression coming towards his bot lane now. Yuna dealing with his camp, but the position here is kind of zoning Lundorf off. You can see Elo Gooden trying to come in assist. Not necessarily going to go for dive, but denying a fair bit of farm in this situation.
Yeah, it's pretty horrible for him. You can see that Tatooine actually just going for the 1v1 versus Linops. Is going to get caught out by the Deadly Flourish in the belly bot. Knocked underneath the tower, and Linops finds that 4th shot. Very greedy play by Tatooine there.
Yeah, I don't think there's a scenario where they're able to find that gank. And that dive on a tower, sorry. 2v1, I feel like Tati could have navigated that, but the fact that he goes aggressive is what cost his life there and gives over a ton of plate. Now, due to the dragon being up, Kova's still going to trade pretty positively, being able to pick that one up.
Yes.
Now have
also,
the second, but Herald's been thrown down.
They are looking for this, actually. That might just be the end of Mirza. Able to dash away from the first part of the curtain call, has to flash away from the next. Charge is going to go down. That's first turret blood over to PK. Tatooine back on the map, and he's going to have to be the one to go top lane to defend. We did see Yuna pick up the Rift Herald for himself. Sorry, the Scuttle Crab, which actually was his 4th stack on the Kindred. So 4 stacks on Kindred at this point, and now Tatooine and Mirza are just going to deal with this wave.
PK actually down in time to potentially defend this one. It's going to be a 3 against 3.
Yeah, they are looking for it. Yuna does have ultimate into the hook from Tiara. Gonna hold it out for the moment. There's the ulti, the Lamb's Respite to buy some time. But Stormy throws out the Ash Arrow. The heal's gonna come in. It's just Kova not willing to really commit too much there. They do lose their jungler.
Yeah, it's actually beautiful play there from PK. They get the aggressive play on the top side due to a mistake from Tati, and then they're able to rotate down bot in time. And the big thing was the dragon. The dragon was quite a bit of a tempo sink. Kova spent so much time doing it that it meant they weren't in time to be able to take down that bot lane tower, and they were able to be answered by PK. Some beautiful play and a ton of gold funneled into this PK lineup. Yes, they're down to dragons. At the end of the day, if you can fight the 3rd one, you can fight the 3rd one and stop the soul, so not really too much of a concern.
Absolutely. 12 minutes on the clock. Goal lead in favor of PK. Much better start than we had in the last game from them. And for Kova, what is the game plan now? What do they need to start to look to do, Orcs?
I think Pix is a big thing that they have enabled in their composition. I think particularly with the Ashe, they can definitely find avenues to punish. I feel like you have to be a little bit cautious about taking a full 5v5 because PK's execution's been pretty solid on those, and they are strong right now. If you can find isolated members, you're definitely in a good position to just take them down quickly.
Oh, Mirza. Almost dodging out. Well, almost getting hit. Dodging out there on the Zenith Blade.
Yeah, I don't like this lane assignment, though. I don't know why Snurmy is bot lane. I really feel like they should have sent Mirza down here. Snurmy should be around mid.
Instead, they're looking for a hook. Yuna making his way in. Mirza's actually stolen away the cast. Here comes the Solar Flare to lock them down, but Linops is doing oh so much work, and Mirza unable to survive. Deadly Flourish in the curtain call as Mirza loses his life. Snurby being chased down by Alec, as that is going to be a kill for him. In response, as Alex trying to get some damage off, finds himself the double kill. Tiara, the only one left standing, as he will fall a triple kill to Alec. And just sloppy play by Kova in game number 2.
Messy engaged that honestly didn't have the numbers to follow up on a Linops. Linops having cleanse as well means he's not actually too threatened by the likes of Mirza and Tiara CC. We'll get the replay of that one to break it down. And just this hook is ambitious. They decide to go for this play, but you know, Yuna's split completely from them. There's no real follow-up onto Linops. And once he finds some room to navigate and dodge away from that cast, he's pretty safe to pop the ult. Now, Snurmy, again, why is Snurmy isolated in lane bot by himself? He joins the fight late, but he's just not in a position to really do much against the likes of Alec. If this had been Snurmy paired up with Chara, and it'd be Mirza down on the bot side, I think this play would have gone much better. The lane allocation, honestly, just messy.
Yeah, incredibly messy. I didn't actually see what happened to Yuna as well there.
He got comboed by Jolbu and exploded. I think Alec had some follow-up as well, but Yuna just completely caught out. It was just a messy engage. And the thing is that Kova opted into that. And, I was saying picks would be good. That wasn't a thought-out pick. That essentially evolved into a skirmish and essentially a full team fight because they didn't have the right lane allocations. They didn't have the right numbers in the right places. And it was just messy.
They're desperately trying to find these shutdowns onto lineup on Alec, but like I said, the lane allocation starting to bite them a little bit here. Level 11 on Alec means that Unleashed Power's got 2 points in it. And Mirza might just have to step away here. The Scatter of the Week's going to be enough. He jumps in, looks for the Kingslayer heal. Got a teleport to keep him alive. Steals away a little bit of time, but that's not going to be enough as Tatooine chasing in. Double teleports to come forward as Tiara looks for the hook. The Deadly Flourish is dodged out, and now they're looking for Jolbu. The cask is massive as the double kill's picked up for Alec. They find themselves a kill onto Lulu. And Kova are playing so greedy in game number 2.
And at this point, the goal difference is so big that PK can really do what they want. They have the aggressive vision, and with the mid tower being down, being the critical thing, they're very easily able to move to the bot lane and punish Mirza. And as soon as Mirza's down, there's no way Kova should be fighting that, and yet they still end up looking for it. The lane allocation was fixed, but it was a bit too late. And again, they're just opting into these bad fights. Kova, they see something go wrong. Instead of saying, okay, that sucks, let's try and back away, they try and fight it. It just goes even worse. And now, Dragon going to be picked up here by PK, and exactly what I was hinting on. Who cares if they got the first 2 dragons? Because at this rate, they won't get another.
Can see that replay of the fight once again here. Mirza just getting completely destroyed by Alec, who's so far ahead on the Syndra.
And at this
then
point,
it's just scattered.
Just watch Chara. Why is Chara going in here? There's so much disengaged from Jolbu, and you're committing to a fight that is already lost. You've already lost your mid laner. You're down in gold outside of that, and yet he still commits for that hook and follows through on it. I just feel like Kova need to be able to cut their losses. It's one of the key things when you're playing from behind. Cut your losses and accept you can't do what you want.
And what's TR doing? Once again, he's looking to get himself caught, throws out the hook, has got the solar flare. The Ash Arrow connects into him. Jolbu will lose his life as Yuna finds that, but Lundorf with the ultimate will pin Yuna in place. Is trying to buy a little bit of time, but that's going to be a 2-for-1 in favor of PK. Yuna will eat the Unleashed Power, and that is going to be a Rift Herald in favor of Kova. Have we frozen?
No.
Oh, okay. I've frozen on my screen.
Oh, one of our feeds is frozen, but one of our feeds is still good.
Challenges of doing broadcast online, unfortunately, guys.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if this is frozen for the stream, but I'm just going to continue explaining what happened. Rift Herald taken by PK there after the result of that 2-for-1. Mirza continued to push in the bot side though, so he's just taking that tower and continuing to apply pressure. Looks like Jolbu claps on him, does land the cast.
Yeah, he's dead.
Yeah.
Mirza's dead. He gets the heal from the Kingslayer, but he does not have enough to stick with that. Down he goes.
Just Nova push again. You got the first tower, great, but it's Kova's issue in this game is that they keep going too far. They keep overreaching. It's not happy to take something. They're not happy to just take that bot lane tower. Mirza has to continue to push until he dies, and it ends up going back towards PK. They really need to know when to cut their losses and when to say, okay, we got what we could. Let's back off. Let's wait to fight at another opportunity. Instead, they're just committing way too hard in these scenarios.
It's almost like I called it. This is what happens every time a team wins convincingly in game number 1. They get a little bit too cocky, and it's a series of mistakes seems to cost them heavily. Yuna jumping into Lundorf here. Very risky. He's going to be able to lantern away to safety, though.
I will say, I don't think it's necessarily cockiness in the draft, though, from Kova. And I do think PK, we have seen games where it feels like one of the teams disrespect. Oh, Engage coming in.
Cask into hook.
Nice
Good stopwatch, though. Make sure he's going to be able to survive that one. And it looks like Kova not going to be able to find anything else.
It feels like in some of the games, there's definitely some disrespectful drafts we're seeing in game 2, but I don't think this is necessarily the case for Kova. And I feel like PK have definitely been playing better this game than the last one. So I will agree that it seems similar in terms of the game 1 win, game 2 struggle. But I think this is really PK coming online and looking to challenge consistently. A lot of damage coming out from Alec. Not quite as much as we saw last game, but he does have that Spellbinder stacked up if he needs it.
Yeah, that's a scary Syndra. That is a very, very scary Syndra.
My concern as well is the Camille going later into the game is going to be a concern in the side lane. There's no one right now. Well, right now it's not too much of a concern, but there's going to come a point where neither Stylist nor Volleybear are going to be able to answer. And that's why it's so threatening that PK has 6,000 gold ahead, because I don't really see a point where they have tools to deal with this Camille, no matter how, like, the later the game goes, the worse it's going to be.
Yeah, it feels like it's going to be very, very rough here for Kova if they're going to be able to pull this back. Merza dodging away on that scat of the week. Could have been horrible to him with that 100 stack Spellbinder. A lot of extra burst.
What a great item for Syndra, by the way.
It's such a great item for Syndra.
Just press that, press R. It's not quite death cap level, but it's kind of a similar thing for that extra burst. I mean, not death cap. What's that item that it used to be? DFG.
Oh, DFG. Merza, you're down.
It's like the modern day DFG for the extra burst, the extra AP. And obviously, great utilization there just to kind of pop Mirza.
I'm not taking a fair amount from Yuna, actually.
I don't think there's any way Yuna catches him, though.
Nice.
One of the big powers of Camille, you just hook shot away. I like that they're trying to go for something on the other side of the map. Obviously, Dragon going to be taken here by PK, but realistically, nothing was going to come for that play. And then I'm just going to throw down the Herald, trying to apply some pressure mid. I think that must have been running out of time, but I don't really like this play overall.
Oh, just about got it.
You're throwing down the Herald because it's running out of time, but realistically, why did PK not group to throw down the Herald? They don't have to take the Dragon right then and there. They could have grouped, applied pressure to the Herald, gotten that mid tier 2, and then they could have gone to the Dragon. So, a little bit of a mistake, I feel, for PK, but overall, not really going to punish them too much.
That's why we're taking a fight here with Lundorf. Yuna's come over. Stormbringer's been used, so they pulled him into the Hextech Ultimatum. Goes for the hook shot. Tatui's going low, and Yuna's just doing the farm. Tatui does get a big shield off as he flashes him forward, goes for the jump, hook shot away to safety. Lundorf low on mana. Tatui just about able to get out of that as the scat of the week's coming in. Looks like PK collapsing here. Snormy got the ultimate, and Tatui now very, very low. Easy pickup for Jolbu. It is just falling apart at the seams for Kova in game number 2.
Yeah, not much MR at all for Tati, and as much as he was like winning that 1v1 towards the end, Lundorf's main focus was just getting out, and he did without burning any summoners, so he's happy with that scenario, and his team are there to punish. Now, Mirza, yeah, I don't think you handled this one so well.
No, I don't think he's really got too much to deal with that. Hextech Ultimatum comes through. He has it, not going to need it. Throws it down to dodge a bit, gets the Kingslayer off and instantly CC'd back, and Lundorf will find that kill. Nice and easy. Solo kill for Lundorf, who had a very rough game 1. As Alec comes in with a flash scat of the week, the unleashed power is going to not be enough to take out Tiara. This is going to have to be a miracle from Yuna to try and steal this one away. He jumps into the pit, unable to find it. And here is the curtain call. Snurmy going to try and make his way out, but has to flash away from Lundorf. Still got that Hextech Ultimatum to lock him underneath the tower. Snurmy trying to kite.
Goodbye.
But the Precision Protocol will be enough to secure the kill. 20 kills to 5 right now as Tatui been run down by Linops.
Honestly, I'd say this is way more dominant than game 1 from Kova. Crushing games so far from PK, and it really feels like they've come online. Look back off on this inhibitor. I think it's a bit risky to try and take it, and honestly, you don't really gain too much from taking that inhibitor down now. PK will also be able to get that tower mid, but Curtain Call gonna buy some slows, and then up damage isn't huge though.
Yeah, they are looking for it. Illigan gonna jump forward, and that will actually be a nice pickup there on to him. Still, the shutdowns are there. One good team fight for Kova, and this gold lead is going to shrink massively. But it is so hard to execute on that when you're this far behind.
It's also 12,000 gold lead, so maybe 7 team fights in a row that you win, and then it's gonna shrink to the point where it's manageable. but right now the difference is massive. And this is the sort of play you go for when you're this far behind. You go for a cheese play. Linops is going to look for the red buff. I'm going to die.
Well, this might just be it. Mercer needs to be the one to get the kill. It's actually Tatooine. The Snurmy being chased out by Jolbu. Here comes the hook shot trying to chase him down. Kova's going to slow him down. It looks like Eunice should be able to get away from this one.
They're actually looking for a fight on the back end of this, but I still don't think they win this.
Not if Lundorf's killing the jungler. Alec. Now joining up the rest of the team. Kova, they're just being pincered here by PK. Going to steal away the cask, and that's not really going to do too much for Mercer. Looks to go on to Alec. Good scat of the week, and Mercer has to flash over the wall to get away. Tiara being chased down by Lundorf. Tatooine,
leave him.
Just cool your losses here, mate. You're losing your support.
Just go down. Predator from Jolbu.
Slows him with the Q, gets him with the belly bop. Jolbu gets the kill.
And it's one of those desperation plays you have to go for when you're this far behind. They get the pick on the AD carry, but ultimately they all die as a result, other than Mirza. It feels like we're at quite an unwinnable place from where Kova were coming from, so... We'll just
going to get chunked a little bit by Yuna.
Oh, that damage!
Oh, no! Has to ult himself to survive. Mercer steals away the Hextech ultimatum. I'd argue probably not the best one for him to get. It's going to jump onto Jolbu, but that's going to be the death of the top lane inhibitor. And going to use it to dodge a bit of the stuff out here. Uses the stopwatch as well. Snurmy just dealing with the wave. This is Kova being decimated. PK have everything here.
Doesn't even feel close, honestly. It feels like PK are just finding more and more opportunities to decimate now. Alexis has to flash there, but the damage coming out from Linops is huge.
It's almost sad to watch at this point. Kova, after taking such a solid win in game number 1, are just being rolled. Shutdown picked up by Yuna. That is going to be the rapid fire cannon finished up for him.
It's a 13,000 gold lead. PK are going to back off here after taking that third inhibitor. Not wanting to overstay too much. Low on HP, a lot of gold in the pocket, but TP coming in. This is going to be Mirza. He should just be able to kill Jolbu here.
Will be a nice shutdown for him. Doesn't know where he is. Jolbu's out.
Oh, no.
The great escape. Mirza. That was so much gold you just lost.
800.
That's rough, buddy.
That is. Going to be able to pick up the dragon here, third. I don't think we'll get to the fourth, realistically. Reset's going to come out here from PK. And then after that, after they've spent their gold, after they've restocked on HP, they're going to push out and use these triple super minion waves to end the game. You can see Kova trying to do the best they can to clear out these minions. It's fighting a difficult battle.
I mean, PK have to play this incredibly slow to give this over to Kova. That's the only win condition I see for Kova right now is either a miracle team fight and then farm the waves, or PK just decide to wait for Baron spawn.
I think waiting for Baron spawn is not actually a problem, in all honesty.
True. But
I think the only way they really lose is if they overcommit right now. If they hard try and rush in and they dive Nexus towers and they misplay. If they lose a fight there, it gives over a ton of gold, and then Kova get Baron, they can stall out till the inhibitors are back up. But I feel like as long as they use the super minion waves, they should be fine here. And even if they did wait for Baron, I really think Kova are in a desperate spot that a bit of farming super minions isn't going to change.
No, you are completely correct on that one. It is a massive, massive gold lead. Doing their best as they're going to jump in. Illigan looking for his opportunity. Dodging out a little bit there, but Lundorf just jumps onto Snurmy, gets a massive chunk onto him. It's a Hextech ultimatum. Yuna pops the ultimate to keep himself alive. It's Mirza, chased down by the Curtain Call. Isn't going to get back in, but goes in for the heal. Finally falls to Linops as they do find themselves a pickup in return. But this is just going to be PK with a flawless game over Kova. Snurmy able to dodge away on the stun part of the scat of the week, but even the Fountain can't defend them. The Nexus goes down. 30 kills, 39 kills in 29 minutes as they're going for a bit of glory there. This is going to be going all the way to game number 3.
Super one-sided in all honesty, and credit to PK for bouncing back on that one and not just getting a game that was a struggle, that was a fight. They crushed that. They absolutely crushed that. And if we're comparing game 1 and game 2, PK have had the better victory overall. It feels like they went back to some of their comfort picks. Lundorf looked really good in the Camille, Jolbu on his Gragas, and they found the early pressure. I think the big thing for me was that mid priority that made a huge difference. The Syndra able to push the wave in, able to move, making a huge difference in this game compared to the Orianna Syndra matchup. So we may well see the Syndra as a contested pick, potentially even banned away if you want to shut down the priority on this mage who's able to find wave clear and just be there first.
Well, we're going to have to see, because we're going to go through a quick break, and when we're back to break down that game number 2 and then moving towards game number 3. See you in a sec.
Well. Isn't the consequences of my own actions where I thought this was completely over, and PK absolutely stomped the other way around. I'm going to go bring it over to Gulborg, who's drinking from his Danish cup. Where do we start with this? How did they just completely turn this game around? It really looked like they were down and out for a 2-game series here.
I think it comes back to what we said in draft. It's literally, this is what we expected from PK. This is their strengths. It may not be the meta, but it's their style, and it's what works for them. So when you finally got going with something like this, it was just able to click for them. But to my biggest surprise, it was really the bot lane who was able to shine through from Linux and Elogun, maybe more Linux than Elogun, really, just because that the double kill they get down there, the individual lead without even having the team down there, is so immense of getting so much tracking control, map control, especially when Julbu gets ahead. And Julbu, he damn well knew he was going to get ahead because he invested in Darksteel stock like from his first pack. You get his boot, you get the Darksteel, and you get an Amplifying Tome. It took so long for him. He was just farming up because he wanted those AP items before he went in and became a menace. And it's exactly what we talked about. If they get ahead in the early game, they are able to steamroll it.
Yeah, and I think talking from the other perspective, from Kova's side of things, they just seemed really lost on the map once PK started to take over the game. It just, I wouldn't say they didn't necessarily have a true team fighting composition, but they were never really able to have that kind of setup where they could take 5v5s that were like on their terms. It was always PK finding isolated picks, and then it just turned into great skirmishes, which were always on Kova's side of things, on a PK side of things, and Kova were never really able to take a foothold in the game. So I don't know, neither team really seems to like red side, it seems, is what I'm taking away from the series so far.
Yeah, red side not really working out for the team that seems to be selecting it at the moment. I've got a clip that I want to break down from that game. It's of a dragon fight that I think really secured the lead. PK were already in a good position. A couple of things that I want you to note just about the positioning of the mini-map right now. As you can see, we have essentially a 2v2 opening up here. There are 2 junglers over here as well, and then we have our mid and other AD carry in this situation. The most important thing is watch Tiara. This is actually a pretty good hook, and I do actually approve of this engage right here because he catches the Flay, really nicely timed Flay. You obviously have Silas, who you expect to be able to kill the Jhin if he's able to get on top of him. Obviously, Una and Julbu are going to be locked up into a 1v1 just below here, so we can discount these 2. What we really want to focus on is this 2v2 happening at the top side. Watch the box, though. The box is the really sad part of this. It doesn't hit Linops. If that box hit Linops, I think it would have been much, much easier for Tiara to be able to get on top, Merza to get on top and actually secure this kill. And then once he's not able to do that, you can see that the Jhin ultimate, it buys that space, they get the 2v2, and then Alec is able to pick up the rest of the kills in this fight. It was just, I think if that box had hit, we might have been looking at a different fight entirely here for Kova, but it didn't. And unfortunately, that allowed Linops to get to the back line, and for PK able to secure that fight. And that triple kill for Alec, I think, really snowballed this game.
Completely
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
I think like
scoundrel analysis.
Scoundrel analysis. Just going back to the point of like, even Orcs highlighted that during the cast, Kova looked really lost on some of the lane assignments too, especially like leading up to some of the dragons. And I think that was one of the key reasons too, that fight going the way it did. Ashe didn't really have a good way into that fight. If she's coming from the top side and it's actually Merz coming in from the bottom side, then I feel like that fight probably goes a slightly different way. So yeah, I think Kova select blue side, I guess is maybe it. And I don't really have much to speak about when it comes to draft. I think that was fine, but yeah, I think something needs to sort of click again for Kova here.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you, Jamada. I don't have too much to say about the draft either, but this seems like a series where we kind of have to throw the meta out of the window and stick to what we know as comfort here. Because in all honesty, the difference these 2 teams had between them, like the first game, insane Kova stomp, second game, insane PK stomp. It's literally just about getting your comfort and getting ahead, because it seems like these teams cannot play from behind. It's something they need to learn if they want to prolong their chances in this tournament. But for now, they need to just beat their opponent that is in front of them right now. And to do that, I do believe you need a lot of comfort for your players.
Well, Kova, I believe, I'm told, have selected blue side for this next draft. So they are going back to that side that has worked well in this series for either squad. And we'll see what happens when we get to our third champion select of this series. I think we've kind of cursed every series to go to the full best of 3. So I feel bad for any team that's coming in to potentially try and stomp here, because every series that has been on the mainstream has been a full 3-game banger so far. And this is no different. We'll see if PK or Kova can avoid elimination, because remember, this is an elimination series, can avoid elimination after this third game. We'll see you in a moment.
Sunsets, high rise, you know you're on the floor, diamonds, good light, walking the golden door. Everybody knows that you wanted more, more. Ice cold to the touch, we're gonna burn it down, bodies so hot until we hit the ground. Everybody knows that you wanted more, more. It's not my fault. I don't wanna talk about it, not tonight. No, you probably think about it, but it's fine. Playing all the same, you know there's no amount, 'cause money makes the world go round. I don't see a problem till it makes me sick. Dollars by the minutes, I'ma spend it quick. No talking me down, yeah, I'm doing it now, 'cause money makes the world go round. Sun-kissed on my lips, the way I want it now. Don't trip, never slip. They wanna take me down. Talk is never cheap, so you say it loud, loud. Say it's not my fault. I don't wanna talk about it, not tonight. No, you probably think about it, but it's fine. Playing all the same, you know there's no amount, 'cause money makes the world go round. I don't see a problem till it makes me sick. Dollars by the minutes, I'ma spend it quick. No talking me down, yeah, I'm doing it now, 'cause money makes the world go round. Spend it till it
Welcome back to the NLC Full Open, everybody. We are into our third game here between Kova and PK. Now, before we do get into this, I do want to give you an update on one of the other results that we've had over on the UKEL stream. ENT versus XY. It was easy for ENT. 2-0 to ENT in that series. XY, unfortunately, we were going to say goodbye to them. They are the first team to be eliminated from the NLC Full Open. And then, to reiterate, this game matters a lot for both Kova and PK. The winner will go on to face, I believe it is Riddle or someone back me up here. Who are they going on to face?
Viking? No, not Viking. Yeah, maybe Viking.
Viking. Yeah, Viking. They're good. My brain farted. They're going on to face Viking in another series, which will either be elimination or qualification. The loser, unfortunately, will exit the tournament here. So Kova versus PK. Gragas gets banned. Lots of target bans coming out now, but Kova have that blue side first pick, and blue side has got that 100% win rate so far.
It's exactly as you said. There's a lot of the line here. Ornn getting out of the way, Gragas getting out of the way, some quick adaptation. Now Syndra just instantly first picked here to get Mercer some priority in the mid lane.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see this opening from Kova here. I really wanted them to remove away the Camille, remove away the Gragas, and then either also, on top of that, ban the Syndra or take it in first pick. I think it's just been such a pivotal pick throughout this series. So Kova's opening is really, really strong here, I feel. And looking towards PK now, they want the Jhin. Prior AD carry, I think that's fine. And now probably looking towards Jubal's pick. I mean, he did take up the Graves in game one, but Lee Sin has now been left open.
Oh, yeah.
First time in the series, so I'm going to expect him to lock this one in. It's comfort, and that's what PK want. But okay, last second divot. They want the Nautilus with the Jhin.
I'm sure it's coming. Like, there's no doubt in my mind they might just pick the Lee Sin instead. But going into this one, we asked ourselves, okay, why did they just first pick Jhin on blue side last game? But apparently that Jhin was just a secret recipe for that bot lane. They did so well. Now they are getting rid of the Leona. They had a lot of priority onto that champion, but I think it's the for sure lockdown you can get with the Nautilus out. There's not too much skill involved in it. It's just an easy pickup for Elogu in here as well. Sivir is an AD carry that has got a small buff on patch 19 that we are playing on, but it's not the kind of AD carry I expect. Misfortune could be what they rely on together with either Ashe as well again. So it wouldn't surprise me if that's what we're going for here.
Yeah, I think actually Jhin being locked in, just given the performance that Linux had on that champion in the previous game, probably warranted. Xayah, though, you've got so many AD carries left available. Look, I kind of get it if you're going into heavy CC. I suppose Nautilus maybe is enough to warrant that. But with all those prime AD carries left up and available, we get the Xayah coming out from Snurmy.
But it's just what we talked about, Excoundrel. It is literally between these two teams, throw meta out of the way. It is comfort. You know you need something you can rely on. For Snurmy, it might be, okay, I see a lot of CC here. I feel more comfortable just having the Xayah to Featherstorm as soon as that CC comes down here. Now, Alec is going to third pick this Asir, and that's going to be an interesting matchup into the Syndra as well.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting matchup in lane, but I'm kind of concerned because Jubal's picks for certain have to get pinched out here. And then in the same breath, PK would most likely want to ban out some of the more meta champions. I'd expect the Kindred to be removed here from Yuna. But I'm starting to now potentially worry for Jubal because I had imagined Kova, I mean, out of the champions left up, they're probably just going to end up banning something like Lee Sin and potentially Graves and just like knock the jungle pool down. So I was actually expecting Jubal to take his pick in R3. I was expecting that just simply because I feel like his champion pool might be a little more shallower than Alex. So I'm curious to see what this Azir actually gets done to have it be priored over the jungler.
Yeah, but let's see. If they ban the Lee Sin here and you don't get rid of Lilia, we might see him default to Lilia just because there's so many junglers out of the way, and that would just be a huge power pick with what's left open in general. Malphite going out of the way here as well, so a lot of dive potential removed up from the top side. I can only imagine that they're going to be picking for Jubal now and saving the last pick on R5 to Linux. Oh, not Linux, Lindorf.
I wonder if they're trying to bait the Lee Sin ban, though. I don't know. Maybe they... Because I genuinely don't think you'd ban Kindred if you were planning on playing Lee, like, confidently, I suppose, because it's one of those picks that you would feel relatively comfortable in as a Lee Sin main. I feel like they were baiting the Lee Sin ban, personally. I don't know. We'll have to see what they go for. Volibear gets locked in here.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe Kova were looking for Ornn, but I was banned away. So I guess actually what they might have been looking for was the volley bear with the GP ban. But I mean, PK take it away. They wanna take the jungle pick when they know exactly what they're picking into now. So it's gonna be curious to see what Yuna wants to blind pick. Gulborg rightfully mentioned that the Lilia is still up. It's pretty okay here, to be totally honest with you. Though it might kind of struggle into the Azir, I guess. Hecarim,
I like the
though.
Hecarim. Yeah,
Hecarim with the Shen. It's so much dive threat.
And also, you got rid of the GP, right? So you got rid of the GP, so the Shen matchup is a little easier for you in a lot of scenarios. I love the Shen Hecarim combo. Obviously, if Orianna was on the table and had been taken, you would be thinking, wow, that's an insane team fight comp. The misfortune might have worked out really well here. We'll see what PK choose to round things out with, though. It looks like they know what they're going into. Nidalee would be very interesting for Julbu. He does have that Lee Sin available. And again, I think they were genuinely trying to bait out the Lee ban, and they did. They went for the Nidalee instead.
So this is going to be interesting because it's kind of vice versa now with these two champions. Julbu, who we talked about, played a lot for his lanes, and that's what worked for him. Kind of what they're defaulting away from now. They're going on to the Nidalee, and that means we need to have a lot of prior lanes here so they can actually play for Julbu now. But just thematically and just the style that they have on the side of PK, that's not the way they go here. So this is definitely going to be interesting. Eyes once again on the junglers now, because if Julbu can secure a lead onto this Nidalee, it might be easier for PK to get into the mid game, but Kova's got scary drafts as well.
Okay, well, we've got a couple of seconds left. Let's kind of take a minute, Jamada. Which team do you think you're favoring coming into this final game of the series? Like, everything's on the line here, and the draft often has a big impact. What do you think?
I'm looking at Kova, and I just feel like they're 10 times more comfortable on the champions that they have. And I know it might seem kind of strange, but for me, the Nidalee pick is such a big divot from what PK were building compositionally that now it kind of seems like to me, if Nidalee wants to be useful in this composition, she has to put the Hecarim behind, and she has to have that lane impact. Otherwise, she's just going to fall off a cliff in scaling. Hecarim is realistically going to take over the game.
Gulbu, a lot of pressure on his shoulders, I think, personally, coming out of the jungle right here to perform in this pivotal game. Like, this is incredibly important for both teams, clearly. We're going to hand it over to Orcs and Hip Rain. A final game of the series. Loser is going home. Take it away.
Game number 3. We've had every series here on the mainstream go to game number 3, and we are not breaking that trend here on day number 3. Now, I'm glad the desk were talking a little bit more about the jungle matchup, because for me, I think Yuna's kind of been underperforming compared to Julbu. Even though Julbu lost that game number 1, I still think he looked like the better jungler.
Yeah,
I don't think Yuna's been particularly on form in this series.
He's had moments, but he's been a bit hit or miss. But I feel like Hecarim is a really brainless jungler that you can just Hecarim goes zoom, and that is it. I think he should have a pretty easy game. It really comes down to whether Julbu can apply pressure, because I've seen this matchup before, and I've seen scenarios where the Nidalee can run over the game and just stomp the Hecarim with early invades. But I'm not necessarily sure this is going to happen here. Especially the big thing is going to be this mid lane matchup. I feel like the divergence away from the Orianna was specifically because Azir does a better job of contesting early priority, but he's against the Syndra. That's where it's a little bit up in the air, because I feel like if Julbu goes for aggressive invades without priority mid, he's going to get punished. And if he doesn't go for those aggressive invades, Yuna, as we said, the desk is just going to outscale.
Well, we're on to Summoner's Rift for our 3rd game of this series. Remember, loser here goes home. Winner continues on here in the NLC Full Open. This Syndra's been a very highly prioritized and very high contested pick for the mid lane. 100% win rate in this series so far today. Mirza and Alec have both piloted it to pretty devastating degrees in both of the games. It felt like they were really taking over a lot of the map, and especially Alec in that last game on his Syndra. Snowby, the man on your screen, on the Ashe in the last game, a couple of rotational mistakes, I think, like staying bot lane and not being with the team for that team fight and getting caught out alone by Alec. Want to keep my eyes on him as well, because Kova, very dominant game number 1. They look like a completely different game in different team in game number 2.
Yeah, I kind of want to talk about this Xayah pick, because to me, in terms of the lane matchup between AD carries, Xayah isn't great into Jhin. You know, there's better options. That, you know, the Ashe is a much stronger counterpart than Misfortune as well. But I feel like this bot lane pickup for Kova isn't about matching lineups. It's about bullying Lulu. Because Leona's a good matchup, and in the Nautilus, if he goes in, it's very easy to layer this TC on him, and Leona is tankier than the Nautilus. But then on top of that, it's very hard for a Nautilus to deal with the Xayah, especially because if you go aggressive, the feathers will absolutely shred you. So for that reason, I feel like they've specifically done this to target the support in the matchup in those 2v2s, and it really will limit the aggression of the Nautilus. So I'll be interested to see how that pans out, but if we do find a 2v2 going down bot lane, I could see Guden just not respecting that and end up going down.
A lot of trading here in the top lane with those grass procs. That's we will lose the level 2 race though, which means it's going to have to now back off on the wave.
Yeah, it's hard to outshove a volley bear, just the auto attacks. Essentially charging up with the lightning, make it very easy to shove. Level 1, Alec, pretty easy for him to shove the wave out. Just obviously has the soldier for the consistent auto AoE damage. Now, you're going to clear this wood, but Guden, you could actually solo kill him here.
He could do. He's going to flash for him. He's got that ignite. Eunice smites and heals, but over the wall, Alec comes and secures first blood. Chickens were picked up by his mid at the least, but that was a fantastic roam by Guden.
Yeah, beautiful ward that was placed down earlier, by, I believe, by Alec, but the execution really, Guden is flawless. No flash on Hecarim means you're very vulnerable to invades when you're low, and although Jolbu wasn't necessarily the one to do it, I love that the proactive play was there.
Oh, they're just looking for Mirza here. Jolbu got that red buff in. Spear's not going to quite hit. They don't commit for the red buff, however, but Yuna just going to pick up his red buff. Tiara zoning away for the moment, so devastating, but not completely catastrophic for Yuna at that beginning.
Yeah. Not as punishing as it could have been in that situation, because he obviously didn't lose any camps. I think it's the right call, though. Jolbu did not want to overcommit and get caught out with the return of Hecarim, especially with Syndra moving down, so I respect the decision not to go for it. And that early priority afforded by the Azir coming in clutch in this scenario, and as well, talked a little bit about the Xayah and the Leona being good to the Nautilus. It's not great at taking priority against a Jhin, especially in the early levels, so it gave Guden that ability to roam up.
So they're just going to hold the wave here, freeze it. So it actually forces Snowy to stop his base and make sure that this wave does crash in. So he's going to have to clear through one more wave before he can do so. Mirza teleporting back towards the mid lane. Yuna making his way over towards that top side to get himself his first crab. The first one already picked up by Jolbu in the bot side. No marks this game, no kindred, so we don't have to track any of that. There's finally a wave should crash in as actually Snowy's going to take a fair amount of damage. That 4-shot comes forward. Milligan also going to get bullied out a little bit here.
Really nice play there.
doing a good job to alleviate this lane.
Yeah, it was a really nice play there in the sense that they waited for Xayah to use a Blade Caller, and then that's when they went aggressive once that was unavailable.
Well, they're now jumping in. They're going to put the blades up. I've got the ability to pull them back, but here comes the teleports. Here comes the turnaround. Teleport coming in from both of these sides. The flash comes out. Lundor has found a little bit here. Looking to pull a couple more feathers back, but not going to be able to place them perfectly, and that will be Kova forcing the teleports out from both the top laners, but they are able to make their way back towards base.
Overall, honestly, I feel like that's slightly favored towards Kova in this scenario, despite the fact that I feel like Kova was definitely going over aggressive there, and the TP was way later from Tati. The critical thing is that he's going to have his ult available. Now, Jolbu makes a great call there, shoving the wave in. It's going to deny quite a bit of farm away from Tati, and the wave's going to be pushing out. But, I mean, having the Shenel available while the enemy top laner's TP is down, definitely advantageous. Now, Alec having TP could be a thorn in their side. But for now, I think Kova in a decent position overall.
Well, 5 minutes on the clock. Attack speed boots get picked up by Snurmy. Then Nox is running around with those boots of swiftness and a cull in the inventory, so I'll actually get some investment back from that. And PK are actually going to get their first dragon of the series. Well, first dragon of the series, anyway.
Don't really lose much from picking this up either, so a nice take. Definitely going to help them. Less priority on being forced to contest Drakes later on, but honestly, again, not too concerned about that.
it has been Infernal followed by Ocean as every dragon in this series. So looking at either a Mountain or a Cloud Soul. I actually kind of like the Cloud Soul for Kova, especially if they can get it.
I mean, with
Really many of those
good with
champions
Hecarim.
use that badly. Great on the Hecarim. Snurmy can use it to dodge stuff and then reposition.
Yeah, good for
That's a
engagement
really, really
power
nice
as well.
ultimate for them.
I think there's always a balance to the Cloud Soul. There's champions who use the active well, and there's champions who just benefit from the movement speed. Like, Jhin is an example of one who doesn't use the active, like the movement speed from the ultimate very well, but the passive movement speed is actually really nice for him.
Yeah. Also, remember, it does give you cooldown reduction on your ultimate, so always nice. Especially if you do give out that early one, because Kova, if they are to pick this up, at the least, they're going to have 3 dragons, which is a 30%. Which is not really enough, not really much to scoff at. PK also, you know, if their team
with a
that will
shot.
like it, they'll use it.
I actually feel like the Cloud Dragons themselves are huge for Kova, because Channel cooldown really important.
Exactly.
Dire ult is a massive one. That was one of the big nerfs to actually push out the meta, was a nerf to our ult cooldown. It's at the point where it's so long, it's just, there's massive windows of vulnerability for the champion. Fortunately, there isn't too much dive on the side of PK to punish that.
However, we are speculating this could be a Mountain Soul, and then the Cloud Drakes are completely redundant at that point. Snurmy is actually going to take a full combo here. Pulls the feathers back, has to get the shield on. Now they're putting some damage in. Elo's going to go down, and Tatooine, beautiful shield to make sure Snurmy stays alive. Good turnaround there from Kova on the bot side.
I mean, that's the expectation. Both top laners being TP, but Tati's going to have that Stand United available. There's a really nice hook from Elo Gooden, but again, you shouldn't be going aggressive in these scenarios. There's a reason where they went for the Leona Zaya, because it punishes that Nautilus heavily, and the Shen there as well just makes it so you are never going to come out ahead in that fight.
Use all the feathers to push out this wave as well. Means Snurmy's going to get a lovely base for himself.
But
Cannon Wave's going to have to get dealt with Lilops.
I will
Now-
say, at the side of the map, Herald
Yep.
going down, and look at the tower top. It's taking a lot of a beating.
Yeah, there wasn't any rotation to come defend that from anyone. Would have been a little hard for Mercer to do so. And this probably will just be first turret blood, actually, at this rate. This plate's going to get dropped as Jolbu summons up the Rift Herald to make sure that this will be secure. Tatui's going to have to do something pretty spectacular to be able to defend this tower. And he's not going to be able to do so. So, first turret blood going over to PK. In the top lane, all the plates included.
Yeah, actually, Jolbu got all the gold there because Lundolf went out of range, so there's literally going to be slow balled pretty heavily. If you actually take a look at the gold, there's going to be a massive gap. 800 already between junglers. And there is a gap top lane as well. Volleybet can really snowball if he gets a little gold in his pocket, but ultimately the Nidalee having a gold lead this big is really significant, and we said it needed to happen. It's definitely a criteria for this game. You want to see the Nidalee pulling ahead of the Hecarim, and so far that's been the case with PK.
Absolutely. It's almost a Fiendish Codex ahead for Jolbu, which is really nice for him. But so we do switch back to the items so we can see where we are at the moment. Almost got that Luna's Echo finished up on to Mercer. Alec not in the same position, just went for the Lost Chapter and then finishing the Nash's Tooth. Tatooine got some help with that Barmy Cinder and a double Ruby Crystal. These AD carries, I want to be looking for their builds. Zilligan needs to be a little careful. Tiara will spot him out with that pink ward. Kova just continues to shove the bot lane into the face of the Jhin.
Kova's got to be a bit careful right now. No Stand United available, and as well as that, the Runic Echoes on Jolbu is such a massive spike to be cautious about. So if he does find an opportunity to join any fights, he will really put a lot of damage down. And Yuna, he's kind of sitting in an uncomfortable spot with only Sheen. First item for Hecarim is that Triforce, and unlike most junglers, he builds that rather than finishing his jungle item. And that's great for him, it works really well, but it's so expensive. It's really a while before you get that massive spike coming in. So when a Hecarim's fed, he really decimates, but when he's behind, feels a little bit rough not having a completed item for a long time.
They are looking to try and contest here. Meanwhile, Yuna jumping onto Jolbu, but here comes the Feather Storm. Ilaguden just gets completely obliterated by Snurmy. Lundorf's made his way over as they do look to shuffle Merza into Jolbu. The Unleashed Power comes down, and they are able to get the kill, but here comes the rest of the team. Tiara making his way forward. Alec gets a kill out, and now Tatui going to try and see if he can find this taunt. Snurmy's making his way forward. The flash comes down, and Lundorf gets the stun, the curtain call, the Stormbringer, and the end of Snurmy. The end of days for Kova. They're losing absolutely everyone. Tatui the only one to survive.
Huge plays coming out there, and again they're making the fight against Jolbu, who is so strong. Yuna felt like a non-factor there. Mirza gets picked on at the start. Just really solid plays coming out from the side of PK, despite what happened in the bot lane.
And it is going to be that Cloud Soul. We talked about it. If Kova were to get it, it would be a 40% reduction to ultimates. But let's have a look at this bot lane pick again.
I mean, this is the point of the Xayah. It really punishes a Nautilus in these aggressive engages, and he gets blown up. But now here, Alec with a really nice shuffle around Syndra to avoid the scout of the week, and they try and turn on the Jolbu, who survives, and Yuna just gets decimated. He dies so quickly. Tati ends up joining late as the bot lane has moved up, but ultimately, this volley bear is just so strong, and Jin is in a perfect spot to throw down this ultimate. It's really a nice setup there from PK. But Ilaguden, I will say, needs to be a bit more respectful. When you're engaging onto the Xayah with the Leona there, you're not going to win that 2v2. That's really the purpose of this bot lane being picked, to punish the 2v2 aggression. What you should do is look to just play around the rest of your team, because they are definitely doing well.
A little bit of a messy follow-up, though, in that mid lane, as Tiara's actually maybe looking for something onto Alec. Alec's worth a fair amount of gold, so they're going to step forward. He's just able to shuffle away to safety like it's nothing. Snurmy made his way over towards the mid lane. Rift Herald's not on the map quite yet. Kova just looking for a shove in the mid lane. Free up Merza a little bit.
I'm really concerned, honestly. You know, the Nidalee is incredibly strong. Lundorf is really strong as well, but this Azir was the main beneficiary of that last team fight, and he is hyper-fed.
Yeah.
And I think if talking to any champion who's going to succeed in the late stage of the game, Azir is one of them. And they are looking for him now.
Yeah, they want to shut him down. They've got everything to get the fear, but he shuffles them back. Caught out by the solar flare. But he shuffles to safety like it's nothing, as Lundorf now looks to charge everyone else down. Merza takes the spear. Merza gets the shield to slow him off for the moment. The hook lands here onto that backline. That's going to be Yuna going down for a third time. Is able to just about to get away. But the teleports are coming in, and now Snurmy's trying to see if he can boost something. He is all alone. 5 members of PK closing in on the bird. Snurmy, no Leona ultimate to work with, nowhere to go. Deadly Flourish will get dodged out momentarily as he pulls back the feathers, uses the flash to try and reposition there. And that is going to be PK getting their 7th kill of the game.
Really nice aggro juggle there. Just means they're not able to get the feathers root down onto anyone who's tanking the tower. Easy dive to pick up despite it being against the Xayah, and they end up taking that bot tower there. Tati's ultimate's actually up. I'm not sure if he... I think it probably was the right decision to save it, but I'm not sure if it was up when that play actually happened. Either way, though, we do see PK finding another massive win, and this is very reminiscent of Game 2. A really dominant performance. And it's really worried for Kova.
And for me, again, it's what we were talking about. It's the jungle. Yuna just hasn't had an impressive series at all. Jolbu has. Even in the loss, he looked like the superior jungler here.
I mean, he's looking great on this Nidalee, and he's gone the more supportive build to really facilitate his team. He's still going to have a decent amount of damage, don't get me wrong, but this allows him to give a huge amount of healing and utility towards his teammates, and especially when you have carries like the Azir and the Jhin, it's definitely a big advantage. Something that I feel is really going to bite Kova is the range discrepancy. Like, Syndra and Xayah are both short-range carries, and up against the Jhin and an Azir, that's going to feel painful later on.
Tiara looking for Lundorf maybe, but...
I don't think you can kill him.
I don't think you can. He's got the Iceborne, he's got the Merc Treads. Not really going to be able to lock him down long enough, but they are looking for it. Hex Flash over the wall. Onto the pink ward, and they're going for the dive. Zenith Blade goes wide. Yuna got the charge, and the Solar Flare gets dodged out. Catch him out momentarily, but Like I said, the CC's not really sticking, and Lundorf actually going to heal back up for the moment. The shield keeps him alive. Lundorf gets the kill. 1 versus 3. Gets out alive as well. While his team take towers in the mid lane. 2 charges from this Herald. Kova are just fumbling.
It's a disaster there for Kova. They go for the play on the volley bear. Looks like they couldn't kill him. And in return, PK slam the Herald down mid and take 2 towers. 0-4-0 now for Yuna. Not a great game, and honestly, not a great series. Even that game 1 that they won was a rough one for him.
Yeah, Yuna has had a very rough series, but that was a complete mess. That was, I don't know what went wrong there, but they just couldn't get onto Lundorf. You said it wasn't a good dive. And it looked like it was going to work, but the execution was just sloppy from Kova.
I think he's just a bit too tanky and they don't have the damage. Like, there was no way they were going to kill him quickly, and they didn't. And as a result, they started to take really heavy tower hits. Chara did his best to tank up the tower. I mean, we'll get a replay. But, you know, they laid down the CC initially, but that's actually a misplay because Yuna knocked him out the solar flare. But even without that, Chara tanks as much as he can, and you can see the tower hits start to come in and doing so much damage. And there's just they just ran out of damage to finish him off. If there'd been a bit more gold in their pockets, a bit less gold on Lundorf, it would have been a different story. But they are so starved. They just don't have the follow through to burn through not only his health bar, the extra HP for the ultimate. I can get the feeling of desperation. You have to go for some play, but that was so costly for Kova.
Yeah, that wasn't it, Chi. Now, looks like Alec is going to head up this siege in the bot side of the map, and Merza and Tatooine don't even want to contest. Alec, with the attack speed, should be able to take this down fairly quickly. That spear, threaded through the minions to be able to hit that.
Well, we're going to be able to hold up this tower now, but 4 minutes until that Dragon Soul. Again, it's the Cloud. Not normally seen as the most impactful, but considering, you know, you have the likes of a volley back and sometimes struggle to get on target, that extra movement speed is pretty huge. And it's just another nail in the coffin, because it'll be, you know, a 22-minute Dragon Soul, looking at a roughly 27-minute Elder Dragon, and that is a scary thing to be going up against. PK showing no signs of slowing down with a 6,000 gold lead, and you can see it reflected in the items. The Triforce has just been finished by Yuna. And although Jolbu's items are cheaper, he's working towards his 3rd. I feel like there must be a lot of gold in the pockets of PK, in all honesty. Not a huge amount, actually. Just a decent spread across the board.
Unit having to make a bit of a safety run back towards the base. Down 3 levels to Jolbu right now. It is...
That's rough. I mean, this is why you pick a Nidalee.
Between these junglers at the moment.
Something that was actually seen a bit at EU Masters was, I believe it was Schlatten on the Nidalee, who really knew how to challenge in a jungle matchup like this. Really knew how to punish the heck of them. And I'm glad to see that it came out here. It's the reason for taking this pick in this scenario. And it's really Elo Guden and Alec who also helped facilitate this aggression on the Hecarim, and it has completely shut down this pick.
Yeah, it really has now. Tatooine is still doing a pretty decent job of holding his own versus Lundorf. The problem is everything else is crumbling around him. Titanic Hydra onto the Shen. Does have that ultimate available, 2 mark points in it as well, so the shield's a bit bigger. It's normally also running around with the Essence Reaver, so a bit of cooldown reduction, level 12, so 2 points in his ultimate. Got this Cloud Drake spawning up in 2 minutes, and like you said, the soul is not nice. It's not the worst soul in the world. It is not one you really want to give up. But the bigger threat is a very early Elder Dragon spawn. That's what Kova need to try and slow down. They need to stop that from spawning this early, because the current state, if they go for a 5-on-5 at an Elder, they're going to lose that fight, they're going to lose Elder, and they're going to lose the game.
Spitting facts. Oh, goodbye,
Oh,
Yuna.
Yuna. That is 1 dead pony. Now, it does look like they're trying to jump in onto the Azir, but Alec has put himself a tower up. Merza getting jumped onto, takes the spear. Oh my lord. Shuffled up underneath the tower. Tatooine's going to take a lot of damage here as Alec actually jumps in. 1 last spear to connect. 2 members of Kova are left. 1 by 1. Kova fall like dominoes as they are looking for Elo Gooden. Gets the flay back, gets him caught out with the solar flare. They've got the shield to work with. Tiara goes golden. PK's health bars are low. That's going to be a flash burn. The curtain has been called onto Tiara. One shot connects, two shot connects, and here comes the fourth. Linops lands them all, finds himself the kill for Alec with a fantastic flash to dodge away. As Snormy will get taken out by Jobu. The flash for the execute. And PK can just go back to Baron.
I actually really like the play from Snormy and Chara. They know the game is doomed. They know that if this Baron goes down, there's very little they can do. So they go for the hero play. And honestly, could have been worse. But it ultimately wasn't successful. PK able to take them down. Now, they're trying to actually find an opportunity to punish this Baron.
Yuna's going to have to do something here. He jumps into the pit. He doesn't get the steal. It's secured by Tatooine. Shuffled back from Alec. And this is going to be more members going down. The Azir, the Nidalee combo are doing so much work for Kova. Linops trying to chase, trying to find that last pick. Catches him with a spear, and it's a double kill for Jobu. 16-3 at 20 minutes.
Not good. It's definitely not good, but it definitely could have been worse for Kova. They managed to get the Baron steal. Now, they still lost a lot of members, a ton of gold there, and the base is going to be threatened. TP coming in from Lundorf to hold the minions up. They're definitely losing an inhibitor tower here, and probably inhibitor if PK want to take it.
PK are going for the close here. Well, not the close. They're going for the inhibitor. I'm going to take that one out. Remember, it's an early inhib, so could potentially bite them a little bit. So on them to keep their tempo up. But now, Cloud Soul is on the mark. Let's have a look at the replay.
Yeah, so Yuna just completely quiet here. Essentially dead almost instantly. I'm not sure what Mirza's doing. He keeps running over. Kind of just auto-pathing there, which results in his death. Really should have seen what was going on and back away. Alec has been playing this Azir beautifully. This shuffle back under the tower just secures Sati's fate. And then you can see this vision from Snormy and Chara. They're thinking of recall, but they're like, okay, we kill Nautilus. Let's try and go for a play where we kite back and stall them out, potentially kill a couple of members. It could have gone completely different, but Alec plays this beautifully. The Featherstorm comes down. He flashes away. It does so much burst. It probably could have actually killed him there. And they're able just to chase him down. But it's a bold attempt. Now, this engage, if they had more gold in their pocket, this would have been a win for the side of Kova. You can see the low health bars, the stun coming out, but they just don't have the damage, don't have the follow-through during that play, and Alec is just way too strong.
Tiara flashes forward, shuffled back instantly as we come out of the replay. But Linops is there with the Deadly Flourish, going to throw out the curtain call. Illigarden on the front, and Mirza is going to get knocked up. Lundorf gets an easy kill. The fourth shot does actually go a little bit wide, but Linops, he did what he needed to do. This is an unstoppable team right now. The tempo is high, and PK are looking to close this out. Looking to get revenge for a very dominant game number one. And Snormy, you're going to lose your life. Another hook from Elo Gooden comes forward, and that's Yuna just charging away. 0-6 on the Hecarim. This pick has fallen apart as the Ignite. Almost enough to kill him. Just about gets out. Inhibitor in the bot lane will fall, and PK are looking to close the game here. 24 minutes on the clock, and they just smurfed this game. Kova looked completely broken. This is Kova out of the NLC Open. This is the shuffle. This is the style points. Linops is not going to go down to Tatooine yet. He gets healed. The Nexus will fall. Kova knock PK out.
I want to come back after that game one. The game one, I really felt like Kova were looking like the stronger side. And a lot of us analysts predicted they would come out on top. But PK, their game two was crushing. And again, it wasn't like the other series we've seen where it felt like Kova were slacking a bit in the draft department, where they'd made a ton of mistakes in game two. It really felt like PK had just come online. Yeah. And that continued in game three. Those games were not close. Game two and game three, they showed without a shadow of a doubt that they were the better team in this series.
No, they absolutely did. It really looked like it was going to be a two and done from Kova, but then it showed out that that was just a bleep on the radar for PK. It was a one little mess up. They were the better team here today, and with that, they've knocked Kova out of the tournament. Guys, we are going to throw to a quick break, and when we're back, we'll have Scoundrel and the rest of the Jets to break that down. See you in a second.
Welcome back, everybody, and congratulations to PK for winning their series. Something happened in game 2, and I kind of want to bring Lundorf in. I think he should be ready for an interview. I can see that he's in the channel. Lundorf is here, so I'm going to bring him in for an interview so I can have a chat to him. Lundorf, first of all, congratulations for winning. Obviously, Gulborg was the only guy behind you in the predictions, and he was quite right. You guys managed to bring it home for Denmark. First of all, the first game obviously was a bit of a stumble. I have to ask you, what happened with Lulu? What happened with Lulu in lane on the top lane?
Yeah, I think that was. Yeah, that's a good question. I think we just thought it would be nice to play, and I said I could play it, even though I haven't played it in a long time. So it probably didn't go as well, and I also had FPS and the ping uses in the first game. So I played it. Yeah, could have went better, but we just wanted to give the enemy confidence. So
Of course. You just got to lose one to give them false hope, and then suddenly you turn things on. I'm only joking with you, by the way. Obviously, it happens to the best of us. Getting solo killed by one as a Lulu absolutely happens to the best of us. No, but seriously, going into game 2, you guys obviously flipped some kind of switch. How did you change your team approach going into game 2? Like, what was it that you just thought you sort of got together as a team into that second game? You just said, okay, we need to change something. What is it that you did differently?
well, I think we just basically said to each other, what's the most brain-dead team comp that requires no hands at all to play? And we wanted to pick Comfort since we haven't really practiced that much together. Therefore, we just went into it and played some pretty easy champions to execute. And it clearly went better, even though we had a bit shaky early game, but it turned out pretty well because after what happened in bot lane and such. So.
Yeah, I think obviously Jin pretty broken in your guys' hands. But obviously you've now avoided elimination. You've got one more series left to go until you could potentially qualify from the group. You're going to be playing Viking, I believe. How do you feel playing up against Viking for the sort of the qualification spot?
Well, we lost 2-0 to them last time, but going into it, I feel like we are. I think we are going in stronger than last time since we got some time to got some more time to play together as a team. Since we have played one scrim, actually 2 scrims, but the other team cancelled on us. So one scrim as a team. So we really haven't. It's not the best practice we have gotten. So I guess we just go into the elimination bracket to get some more games.
Yeah, I mean, I guess every game you play is going to make you better and better as a team. And I think, beating Kova is no small feat. They did really well in the Telia Masters, so clearly a team that is pretty good. So I'm obviously got one more series to go, but congratulations for getting to survive to another day. I'm looking forward to that series with Viking. But Lundorf, thanks for joining me, mate. And next time we hopefully won't die solo to one as Lulu.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, congratulations, bud, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
You're so mean.
Did I troll Lundorf? Did I troll Lundorf too hard? Oh, he's so sweet. I know. He obviously played really well in the second and third game as well. I was just memeing him a little bit on the first game, but I think again. Gulborg, you can be happy. Your prediction came true, PK. The strength of Denmark cannot be understated. You guys apparently, just by having more Danes in the team, automatically win series.
I don't know how many times I have to tell you guys this, and it just works every goddamn time. So, I mean, either you guys pick up on it, or maybe we need some more Danes on the panel. I don't know.
Well, Gulborg, you've actually selected a play from that series that you wanted to have a look at. So, can you walk us through the play that you've selected?
Well, I think we have to give London some nice things in life after you just scolded him on the interview. So let's give him the dive, because in general, 3 people coming to dive you, and Lundorf just staying calm on this one, knowing his limits. As soon as that shielding comes down once again, it's just too late for them. Kova has bit way over what they could chew, and I love that Yuna is actually helping him here. You see the solar flare here, and he gets knocked out of it. It's Lundorf being handed a bit of a favor here as well. But, you know, just an all-in-all nice hold-up while the rest of his team is just pushing in mid.
Damn, this is rough to look at. Kova already in a rough position, and this did not make it any better. But obviously, commiserations to Kova. They did have a really good Telia Masters. Unfortunately, this tournament didn't quite work out the way they would have wanted to. But alas, it happens. And of course, the other game that we had going on alongside this was XY versus Ents. Ents did indeed take that victory 2-0. So congratulations to PK and Ents. They'll be playing in another series. I believe Ents is going to be playing up against, I'm just going to double check so that I can get this right, Riddle, and Viking, of course, will be playing up against PK. So that'll be our series that are taking place tomorrow. But we, of course, have 2 more elimination matches to go. We are going to have M&M versus Absolve taking place on the UKEL stream, and we will be covering Tricked versus Nordavind Black on our stream. I think 2 really good teams, none of which we expected to really be in the elimination bracket coming into this tournament already so soon as well. But one of them is going to have to leave at the end of this next best of 3. We're going to go to a short break. When we're back, we'll find out which one of that it will be.